Chapter 1469. This finger moved the earth. In Wang Lin's eyes, the earth around the platform trembled and roars echoed. The tens of thousands of cultivators charged at the platform like crazy. They set off a storm as they charged at the platform. Behind the tens of thousands of cultivators, there were more than 10 times as many cultivators. They all let out roars and charged forward as if they weren't afraid of death. Even further away, huge war chariots emitted loud rumbling sounds as they slowly approached. Rays of light that were enough to destroy everything howled out. Just at this moment, a giant rift seemed to be torn open in the sky above the palace. Nearly 100 members of the 3 ancient clans descended from it. Their appearance caused the world to collapse, and their roars instantly drowned out the slaughter of the countless cultivators here. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the nearly 100 members of the 3 ancient clans landed on the ground. Spells, physical strength, magical treasures, and all sorts of other attacks were unleashed. Nearly 100 members of the 3 ancient clans were fighting against hundreds of thousands of cultivators. This scene was extremely realistic. It was as if Wang Lin had stepped back in time and appeared on the battlefield of the past. He calmly sat there, just like the person who once sat here and coldly looked at everything before him. A confident and domineering aura continued to accumulate inside his body. At this moment, it was as if Wang Lin had become another person. The world rumbled and 8 giant figures that were as tall as the heavens appeared from the crack in the sky. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the 8 giants descended on the ground. Their appearance immediately caused chaos. These 8 giants possessed extremely powerful physical bodies. Whenever they waved their arms, wind and lightning would appear. Large numbers of cultivators would be knocked back while coughing up blood. Some cultivators' bodies would directly explode and they would die. However, just as the 8 giants appeared, the cultivator holding the umbrella in the distance let out a roar. The world twisted and turned into a mirror. Roars came from the mirror and 8 dragons flew out. They had ferocious expressions and let out heaven-shaking roars at the stone platform. From the looks of it, they were going to break through all obstacles and devour the stone platform. It was an indescribable feeling. Perhaps it was because the illusory image was too real in Wang Lin's eyes, or perhaps it was because the force he borrowed had fused with his body, causing Wang Lin to turn into the man who once sat on this throne and fought against the heavens. He slowly raised his arm and suddenly clenched his fist. Then, he punched the air in front of him. God tremble, soldier formation. With one punch, the world in the illusory picture rumbled. A shocking shockwave spread out from this punch. The thousands of cultivators in front of the seats in the picture all trembled. As popping sounds echoed, the thousands of cultivators coughed out blood and their bodies twisted strangely. It was as if a vortex had appeared out of nowhere around them. Their bodies were pulled by the vortex, and as if they had lost control of their bodies, they lined up neatly in 4 rows. It wasn't just this one spot, but all the tens of thousands of cultivators at the front of the stone platform coughed out blood. Their bodies strangely changed directions and lined up neatly. A death aura filled the area. All the cultivators in the group had their inner palaces shattered, their origin souls shattered, and all their vitality was destroyed by this punch. Wang Lin's fist stopped in the air and slowly retracted. He slowly unclenched his fist and casually waved it forward. Demonic spell, Fire Beacon Mountain. As he waved his hand, a thick flame appeared above the heads of the tens of thousands of cultivators. This flame was green and looked like demonic fire. When it appeared, billowing smoke rose into the air. From afar it looked like the smoke of beacons shooting into the sky. With a wave of his hand, the rising smoke seemed to be swept away by a gust of wind and shot toward the hundreds of thousands of cultivators below. The smoke passed through their bodies and formed 8 smoke mountains around the stone platform. The moment the smoke mountains formed, a powerful suction force came from them. This suction force was extremely powerful and seemed impossible to resist. It quickly pulled in the hundreds of thousands of cultivators. No matter how they resisted, they couldn't break free. In the blink of an eye, miserable screams echoed, and the hundreds of thousands of cultivators were devoured by the 8 smoke mountains. When the smoke dissipated, the 8 smoke mountains turned into mountains of corpses. After a punch and a wave of his hand, Wang Lin's right hand stopped in the air. He stretched out his index finger and pointed forward. Demonic Tao, reverse life and death. These unfamiliar words slowly came out of Wang Lin's mouth. With a wave of his finger, the giant chariots behind the hundreds of thousands of cultivators trembled. A ripple spread out from Wang Lin's finger, shaking the world. As the ripple spread out, the life force inside the chariots began to reverse and turn into an aura of death. The chariots suddenly stopped moving and froze in place. As the ripples continued to spread, the 8 giant dragons that were roaring at the stone platform trembled. Under the spell of the demonic Tao, they were unable to resist at all. All the vitality in their bodies turned into death aura. The reversal of life and death, the conversion between life and death, was completed in an instant. The 8 dragons remained in the same position as before. They floated in the air and remained motionless. They weren't the only ones. All the cultivators touched by the ripple experienced the same thing. Their life force turned into an aura of death, and they instantly died. God, demon, devil, ancient Tao, no celestials. Wang Lin muttered as his finger formed a palm, and he gently pushed forward. The ancient god's stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly. They became 6 stars, then 9 stars. Even the 12 stars in his eyes increased greatly. As they rotated, they reached 18 stars. 9-star ancient god. 9-star ancient demon. 9-star ancient devil. The power of the 3 clans seemed to fuse at this moment. They turned into ancient power that entered Wang Lin's right hand. As he pushed forward, a giant shadow appeared before Wang Lin. This shadow only had a head, but just the head alone was as tall as the sky. It gave off an ancient aura that was as old as the stars themselves. However, it was a bit blurry, so it was impossible to see its true appearance. After the head appeared, it opened its mouth and spat out a breath. The breath was like a violent wind that swept forward. Wherever it went, the bodies of the dead cultivators stiffened, and some even showed signs of petrification. At that instant, the middle-aged scholar holding the umbrella on the opposite side of the stone platform let out a soft sigh. As he held the umbrella in his right hand, a 7-colored light spread out from the umbrella. The 7-colored light was like a rainbow, and the moment it intersected with each other, it was as if it had turned into a colorful sun. The 7-colored light quickly spread out in all directions. The power of the ancient order collided with the 7-colored light, causing the world to tremble. However, just at this moment, a thunderous roar echoed. The cultivator with his eyes closed behind the person holding the umbrella took out a large bow with 9 seals. The bow was made of bone, with the sun and moon engraved on the bow and the sky engraved on the end. It was unknown what the bowstring was made of, but it gave off an ancient aura. At this moment, the black-robed cultivator pulled the bow into the shape of a full moon. A black arrow with 9 feathers appeared in the bow. The shaft of the arrow was covered in scars, as if it had experienced countless battles over the years and killed countless cultivators. There was a shocking killing intent gathering on it. Close your eyes and pull the bow, then let go and open your eyes. With a bang, the arrow shot out from the bow, and with an indescribable presence, it charged forward with a howl. It was so quick that it caused the sky and earth to shatter. A huge crack was also formed on the ground, and it charged forward with the arrow. The arrow tore through everything in its path in midair. As it moved forward, wind and thunder roared. It was as if the light from the sun had suppressed all the sounds in the world and replaced everything as it shot through the air. It penetrated the 7-colored light from the man holding the umbrella, penetrated the destructive aura from the head formed by the ancient order spell, and penetrated everything. It was as if not even space, not even time, Not even anything could stop this arrow. A thunderous rumble, a sharp sound, and a howl echoed as the arrow charged into the ancient aura. It seemed to burn as it broke through the aura and stabbed into the left eye of the illusory head. The arrow directly pierced through the left eye of the head. One could clearly see the left eye on the tip of the arrowhead, dripping with blood. As the arrowhead shot forward, it pierced through heaven and earth, pierced through the palace, and disappeared into the void. Intense pain rushed out from Wang Lin's body like a wave. This pain felt like it was going to tear his memories apart. As the arrow flew by, blood flowed out from Wang Lin's left eye and the 9 demon stars he had borrowed collapsed. Dao Mark Li Guang shot out my left eye. That left eye contains half of my life's memories and my longing for my hometown. The voice that had appeared before appeared in Wang Lin's mind. At this moment, under the intense pain, he seemed to have completely forgotten himself and turned into ancient Dao Yimo. "Give me back my left eye!" Roars echoed in the world. As they roared, the aura exuded by the gigantic head tumbled forward with a bang and destroyed the 7-colored art of the man holding the umbrella. Bitterness appeared at the corners of the man holding the umbrella. His body gradually lost all signs of life and turned into a statue of stone. Even his umbrella was petrified. As the aura swept by, it penetrated the middle-aged man and landed on the cultivator that shot the arrow. The cultivator silently pondered and closed his eyes. His body instantly turned into a stone person, maintaining the posture he had when he was alive. "I've completed my appointment with you." The moment he closed his eyes, he said his first and last sentence. Recommended against the heavens' new work. Chapter 1470. Wang Lin sat on the stone throne, and before him, Ling Dong and Zhou Jin were still kneeling. They could clearly feel the pressure coming from Wang Lin's body reach a heaven-shaking level. This pressure made them feel terror and shock, and they didn't dare to raise their heads. They also couldn't see the bright red blood flowing out from under Wang Lin's left eye. In truth, the inheritance had already begun the moment Wang Lin sat down on the chair. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin sat there motionlessly, and the images in his mind continued to flash by. It was unknown how much time had passed in the images. All the cultivators around the stone throne were silent, and only the flame of the human lamp continued to burn endlessly, shrouding the surroundings in an illusion. On this day, a figure wearing a 7-colored Taoist robe appeared from an unknown place. He stood before the middle-aged cultivator holding the umbrella and silently pondered for a long time. "I've accepted 3 sons in my life. You're the most." The 7-colored cultivator let out a sigh as he walked past the middle-aged scholar. He stood before Li Guang, who was holding the bow in the same position as when he was alive. "I'll keep my promise with you. Once the heavenly Tao matures, I'll return this bow to your sect." The 7-colored cultivator took the heaven-shaking bow from Li Guang's hand. However, at this moment, his expression suddenly changed. Without hesitation, he took a step forward. He was so fast that he had reached his limit. "Ancient Tao, no celestials." These ancient words appeared in Wang Lin's mind. The moment these words appeared, a change that Wang Lin couldn't understand occurred. Just these 4 words caused the 7-colored cultivator's expression to change once more. "You're not dead." The 7-colored cultivator was surrounded by 7-colored light as he retreated and coughed out a mouthful of blood. With one step, he disappeared without a trace. The images in Wang Lin's mind dissipated. His body trembled and the confusion in his eyes disappeared. He gradually became sober. The moment he became sober, the borrowed aura rushed out of his body as if it wanted to return to the throne and disappear. At this instant, a powerful rejection force came from the chair, as if it wanted to push Wang Lin off. It was as if there was a will inside the chair that made it so that aside from the person from back then, no one else was qualified to sit on it. Before, when Wang Lin sat down, the will hadn't awakened. However, as the demon and devil auras entered his body, the images appeared in his mind, and he awakened after the images collapsed. The will awakened. After this will awakened, this rejection force suddenly appeared. Not only did it want to push Wang Lin out, it also wanted to withdraw the aura that had entered Wang Lin's body. It was as if this will didn't want Wang Lin to have this aura. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy, but he didn't have time to think. He subconsciously wanted to keep the aura in his body forever and not let it spread out. This created a fierce conflict with the throne. Under the powerful rejection force, Wang Lin let out a roar and the veins on his face swelled. He didn't let himself leave the throne at all. He had a feeling that if he was pushed off the throne, the borrowed aura would instantly collapse. If he wanted to stay, he had to sit on the throne. Time slowly passed. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. In just 3 breaths of time, Wang Lin seemed to have reached his limit. The origin energy in his body quickly cycled to resist the rejection force that was becoming stronger and stronger. At the same time, he absorbed the borrowed aura like crazy. Because he had awakened, the number of ancient god stars between his eyebrows had returned to 6. However, as he rapidly absorbed the aura, the 7th star was about to appear. In his right eye, the power of the ancient devil revolved, showing signs of becoming a devil star. The 4th breath. The moment Wang Lin forcibly resisted the rejection force for 4 breaths of time, his mind rumbled and the 9 maps that had appeared due to the platform's upgrade all collapsed. As the maps collapsed, he saw a boundless area below the map. This area was made up of 6 maps. There was another world below the 6 maps. This world was made up of 3 maps. This ancient order tomb didn't only have 1 floor, but 3. Everyone who had entered the ancient order tomb was only on the 1st floor. The entrance to the 2nd floor was behind Wang Lin, the oval light above the throne. And this chair, if the first level of the ancient tomb was compared to an array formation, then this chair would be the center of the array formation. At this instant, Wang Lin saw that the 2nd floor was filled with countless mournful souls. What shocked him even more was that some of these souls gave off a pressure comparable to Tao Master Blue Dreams. In the depths of the 2nd floor, there was a blurry place with an indescribable, heaven-shaking aura that seemed to be sleeping. Once one entered the 2nd floor, this powerful existence would awaken. At that time, even someone with Tao Master Blue Dreams cultivation might not be able to survive. This was only the 2nd floor, there was still the 3rd floor. Wang Lin sat on the throne as if he was sitting at the center of the formation. His divine sense fused with the formation and passed through the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor. However, just as his divine sense entered, a roar that seemed to have been suppressed for countless years came from the 3rd floor. Wang Lin's divine sense immediately collapsed due to this roar. However, although his divine sense collapsed, he still saw a giant heart in the middle of the 3 maps on the 3rd floor. The heart was pounding and gave off the aura of inheritance that Wang Lin was certain of. He even had a feeling that as long as his body touched the heart, he would be able to obtain the complete ancient order inheritance. At this moment, the aura that had surged into his body from the chair he was sitting on came from the heart through a strange method that was connected to the chair and surged into his body. Now that this aura was rapidly being absorbed, once it left his body, Wang Lin would have to break into the 2nd floor and then the 3rd floor to obtain the inheritance. Not to mention him, none of the cultivators in the tomb could do something like this. Various thoughts flashed through Wang Lin's mind. His eyes were filled with madness and he made up his mind not to let this borrowed aura leave his body. The 5th breath. Wang Lin's eyes turned red and revealed a ferocious gaze. The 7th ancient god star between his eyebrows absorbed the borrowed aura like crazy. Since it entered my body, it belongs to me, Wang Lin. How can it come and go as it pleases? When Wang Lin awakened, the pressure from Ling Dong and Zhou Jin quickly dissipated. This gave them the courage to raise their heads. Zhou Jin struggled to raise his head, but Wang Lin didn't stop. Just at this moment, Wang Lin raised his right hand without hesitation. He borrowed the aura that hadn't completely dissipated to shoot out like lightning and point at Zhou Jin's forehead. When his finger landed, Zhou Jin coughed out blood and was knocked back. A tattoo appeared between his eyebrows. The tattoo of the ancient slave. The two of you, turn your Joss flames into your full power to seal this throne and help me obtain the inheritance. Quickly. Wang Lin's words were extremely fast. The moment he spoke, he closed his eyes and quickly sealed his body to prevent the borrowed aura from dissipating. At the same time, he completely fixed his body to the throne. The sixth breath. Ling Dong didn't hesitate to get up and move to the left of Wang Lin. His hands formed a seal and his right hand pressed down on the throne. He continued to summon the Joss flames in his body. At the same time, he raised his left hand and pressed down on Wang Lin's body to resist the rebound force from the throne. In an instant, a steamed Ling Dong's hair moved without any wind and his clothes were torn. A powerful force came from Wang Lin's body and entered his body. A steamed Ling Dong's expression changed, and he clenched his teeth to endure it. The Heavenly Wolf Clan's Zhou Jin was forced back by Wang Lin's finger. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with struggle. However, the more he struggled, the more the ancient slave tattoo between his eyebrows shined. The seventh breath. Zhou Jin's face was pale and he silently moved to the right of Wang Lin. He followed Wang Lin's order and used all the Joss flames in his body to help seal the throne. Like Ling Dong, his right hand pressed down on Wang Lin's body to share the powerful rebound force. Zhou Jin's mind trembled and he felt the powerful force. He let out a roar and took a step back with his right foot. It was as if his foot had grown from the ground and he persisted. Wang Lin closed his eyes and continued to seal his body to prevent the borrowed aura from retreating. However, his left eye was filled with pain. The 9 ancient demon stars had collapsed and there was no longer any ancient demon aura left. What he was blocking was the ancient devil aura in his right eye and the ancient god aura between his eyebrows. The eighth breath. The rebound force from the throne had reached a level that could shake the world. Popping sounds came from Wang Lin's body and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. However, his expression was extremely fierce. "I don't believe it." Wang Lin let out a roar and the ancient god power in his body surged like crazy. He collided with the rejection force from the throne again and again. Blood flowed out from the corner of Ling Dong's mouth. His body trembled and his face was pale. Zhou Jin also clenched his teeth and blood flowed out from his mouth. However, he continued to share the endless force from the throne with Ling Dong. The ninth breath. Wang Lin's body continued to tremble and sweat appeared on his forehead. Although he had the help of 2/3 step cultivators, the rebound force from the throne was becoming more and more intense. It was as if his body was going to collapse. The ancient devil aura and ancient god power in his body surged like the tide, wanting to rush out of his body and return to the throne. Once they returned, Wang Lin's inheritance would have to follow the normal path. He would need to enter the second and third floors, enter the Heaven's Palace where the heart was, and experience unimaginable danger to obtain it. The 10th breath. Wang Lin coughed out blood. The longer he lasted, the more he absorbed, and the more benefits he would receive. The 7th ancient god star between his eyebrows rapidly rotated and became more and more clear. It was only a bit away from forming. However, just at this moment, a huge change occurred. This god has finally found this place. This is the place. The place that Dam 2C wants to return to even in his dreams. Wild laughter rumbled from the end of the palace where the stone platform was. The void there distorted, and Tua Sen's figure was crazily trying to break through the distorted space and charge in. As he charged in, the distorted space was pulled into a convex shape like a net. Thunderous rumbles echoed and Tua Sen was bombarding the void with punches. His blood surged as he unsheathed his sword, dyed it with the blood of the moon, and erupted. The matter of the ancient order tomb was about to end. Who could say he wouldn't be able to return to the inner realm by the end of the month? There was no need to wait at the end of the month, he would return within a day. Currently, the renegade Celestial was only 80 votes away from first place. Chapter 1471. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at the illusory net in the void of the palace in front of him. He stared at Tuo Sen, who was roaring and waving his fists behind the net, trying to break the net and enter the palace. His eyes were like lightning as he stared at the illusory net. Time slowly passed. 11 breaths, 12 breaths. Sure San's breath. These 3 breaths seemed to pass in the blink of an eye, but to Wang Lin, each breath was like a pause in time. It was like 3 long centuries of loneliness. The powerful repelling force from the throne roared like a storm. With each breath, it increased in strength, as if it was going to collapse Wang Lin's body. Blood flowed out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth again. The veins on his face bulged, just like the rhythm of his heartbeat. A low roar came from Wang Lin's nose and mouth. The origin energy in his body had been pushed to the limit. Even though he had the body of an ancient god, there was an unbearable pain in his meridians. It was as if he continued, his meridians would explode. Even his blood vessels, bones, internal organs, and all his flesh would shatter and become a pile of meat paste. As he roared, there was only one thought in Wang Lin's mind. He could not let the borrowed aura leave his body. He could not. No matter what, he had to give it a try. Once he gave up, once he was pushed away by the repelling force of the throne, he would lose this rare opportunity. Wang Lin would not allow this to happen. The 6 ancient god stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly. The 7th star slowly formed and became clearer. A blinding light came from the 7th star, becoming more and more dazzling. In his right eye there was a vortex of demonic energy. As it rotated, there was a faint demonic star. In an instant, the moment Sure San's breath left his body, a blurry demonic star appeared in his right eye. This was the first ancient demon star. Although it was still blurry, its appearance seemed to have come out of nowhere. It was proof that Wang Lin's aura had dissipated when he fought against the throne. It was just that the price for Sure San's breathing was too great. Loud popping sounds came from within Wang Lin's body. The flesh and blood below his waist couldn't withstand the pressure and burst apart. Large amounts of blood stained the seat, revealing the white bones beneath. This kind of pain was monstrous and not something an ordinary person could endure. In fact, just thinking about it would cause one's mind to tremble. This little bit of pain is nothing. It's nothing compared to the calamity I faced back then. Wang Lin clenched his teeth, and a cold smile appeared on his face. At this moment, under Wang Lin's gaze, Tuo Sen's roar became even clearer within the illusory net above the palace. The roar was like a sharp sword propping up the net as it closed in on Wang Lin's stone platform. As Wang Lin sat there, he could clearly see Tuo Sen within the net. Tuo Sen's expression was ferocious, and his roar shook the heavens. The 8 stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly, emitting an ancient aura. His fists were like a storm as they danced in the air. Every time they landed, the illusory net would tremble violently, as if it would collapse at any moment. 14 breaths, 15 breaths. After 2 breaths, the rejection force within the throne increased by several fold. It was like a pair of merciless hands were waving at Wang Lin, trying to drive him out of the throne. 16 breath. When the 16th breath arrived, the rejection force within the throne seemed to have reached a certain peak. It suddenly turned, and the rejection force dissipated for a moment. Instead, it turned into a suction force that disappeared in an instant. The rejection force beneath Wang Lin dissipated, but he did not relax. Instead, his pupils shrank. This was the calm before the storm. After the calm, the world would be destroyed. Ling Dong, Zhou Jin, resist with all your might. Wang Lin roared without hesitation. The throne was not only trying to absorb Wang Lin, but it was also trying to absorb the beating heart that was connected to the 3rd layer through a strange method. Suddenly, An even more powerful aura erupted from the heart, and it broke through the air and rushed into the throne. The instant the aura rushed in, the suction force from the throne dissipated, and what replaced it was a rebound force that was 100 times stronger than before. Although this rebound force only appeared for an instant, it destroyed all the flesh and bones in Wang Lin's lower body. Thunderous rumbles echoed and Wang Lin's legs collapsed into a pile of flesh and blood. At the same time, esteemed Ling Dong, who was sharing the rebound force, trembled violently and his entire left hand shattered. He was even pushed back several steps by this force. He raised his head and spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent tumbling back again. Although he retreated, he still strictly obeyed Wang Lin's orders. His hands formed a seal and a giant black statue appeared around him. This black statue was the Ling Dong clan's devil god. It opened its arms and pressed down on Wang Lin's body. The Heavenly Wolf clan's Zhou Jin's face also turned pale, and cracking sounds came from his right arm. The bones in his right arm instantly shattered, and the flesh and blood in his right arm collapsed. He retreated a few steps and coughed out blood. He let out a roar and a blood-red wolf appeared behind him. The blood wolf let out a roar and passed by Zhou Jin. It took Zhou Jin's place to share the destructive force from Wang Lin's body. Esteemed Ling Dong and Zhou Jin shared nearly 70% of the force from the throne. Only 30% fell on Wang Lin. It was because of these two that Wang Lin would not have lasted 16 breaths of time. Although the throne had erupted with 100 times the force, the inheritance aura inside it had also become 100 times stronger. When it collided with Wang Lin's body, some of it directly rushed into his body. As this aura rushed into Wang Lin's body, his body rumbled. The seventh star that was about to form between his eyebrows shined brightly and rapidly appeared. From the looks of it, in 3 breaths of time, the seventh star would completely appear. A 7-star ancient god was about to appear. Tua Sen's roar became even more clear. The illusionary net seemed to have been pulled to its limit and was getting closer and closer to Wang Lin. In the blink of an eye, it was less than 10,000 feet away. Tua Sen's body continued to grow as he moved forward until he was tens of thousands of feet tall. His fists were like meteors, and the illusory net could no longer withstand the pressure. Fine cracks appeared on it. Open for this god. Open! Open! Tua Sen didn't seem to notice Wang Lin's existence. As he roared, his fists moved even faster, and his expression was ferocious and filled with excitement. Damn ancient Tao, this inheritance should belong to this god. In this world, aside from me, no one else is qualified, yet you insist on using these obstructions. Have you gone crazy? Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. At this moment, his lower body had collapsed, leaving only his upper body upright. However, this pain was nothing, and Wang Lin didn't care at all. As long as he could retain the aura inside his body and become a 7-star ancient god, he could instantly recover. The recovery ability of a 7-star ancient god was far beyond that of a 6-star ancient god. 17 breaths. The 100-fold rebound force increased once more. Although it had only increased by a few times, it was still 100-fold. As a result, this rebound force was so powerful that even if Tua Sen was sitting here, his body would collapse and he would die. This powerful rebound force appeared and Wang Lin's body trembled as he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. His expression was ferocious as if he had gone crazy. Since you, Yemo, can make this chair, why can't I, Wang Lin, do it? I'm going to do it. Let's see how you're going to stop me. The rebound force was like a tsunami that passed through Wang Lin's body and entered the statue created by Ling Dong and Zhou Jin. The devil god's statue trembled and then collapsed into countless fragments. Ling Dong coughed out blood as he was thrown off the platform. What fell on the ground was Ling Dong. Zhou Jin's blood wolf howled in pain as if it had been swept away by a gust of wind. Popping sounds rang out from within Zhou Jin's body as he was sent flying several thousand feet away. He fell to the ground with a bang. The two of them had shared most of the rebound force for Wang Lin and couldn't help him in a short period of time. Right now, everything depended on Wang Lin. 17 breaths. One breath seemed slow, but in reality, it was extremely fast. Just as Ling Dong and Zhou Jin were sent flying back, the terrifying 17th breath arrived. At this moment, the Tuo Sen's roar shook the world. The illusory net could no longer withstand it and began to collapse. Tuo Sen's body was about to rush out, and he was less than 5,000 feet away from Wang Lin. After 17 breaths, the rebound force that was already hundreds of times stronger than before increased several-fold. With Wang Lin's current state, he couldn't resist at all. The seventh star between his eyebrows was rotating rapidly and had mostly formed. In another 2 breaths, it would completely appear. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand and made a grabbing motion in front of him. With a loud bang, the petrified body of an ancient god that was several thousand feet in the distance flew up with a loud bang. It was instantly grabbed by Wang Lin and smashed towards Tuo Sen, who was about to rush out of the illusory net. With a loud bang, the rebound force that had increased several-fold surged towards Wang Lin. At the same time, the petrified body of the ancient god that Wang Lin was holding smashed into the illusory net. It smashed into the body of Tuo Sen, who was about to rush out with indescribable excitement. At the same time, the moment Wang Lin smashed the petrified body, the rebound force that had surged into his body enough to cause him to collapse was released into his right hand. It quickly passed into the petrified body of the ancient god and smashed it towards Tuo Sen. The rebound force was too great for Wang Lin's right arm to bear. The moment he swung the petrified body, his right arm collapsed. Even so, the petrified body was like a rod that could break the heavens, and it crazily vented the rebound force onto Tuo Sen's head. A shrill scream came from Tuo Sen's mouth. A heaven-shaking sound came from Tuo Sen's body, and he coughed up blood as he was sent tumbling back. Wang Lin! Thank you, fellow Taoists, for today's eruption. I'll definitely let everyone have a good time watching today. Right now I've finally reached the top, but the gap is too small. However, the hardcore votes have all been used up. I implore the neutral fellow Taoists who are still watching to vote for me and give me some Joss flames. Chapter 1472. Tuo Sen was outside, so he had no way of knowing what was happening inside the palace. He spent a great deal of effort to forcefully break open the restriction outside the palace and peeked out. However, before he could clearly see what was happening, his vision immediately darkened. A giant ancient god's body was smashing toward him. All of this happened too fast, and Tuo Sen didn't have time to dodge. He could only raise his right hand and use his powerful 8-star ancient god body to resist. However, he didn't expect the powerful force coming from his body to be so terrifying. The powerful force rushed into Tuo Sen's body like crazy, and the bones in his right arm broke. Tuo Sen's body was knocked back and he coughed out blood. At the same time, he clearly saw Wang Lin sitting on the stone throne behind the net he had broken. With Tuo Sen's help, Wang Lin paid the price of his right arm to pass the 17th breath. The 7th star between his eyebrows rotated, and he could clearly see it forming. It was moving toward the final point. The terrifying 18th breath descended. At the same time, Tuo Sen, who had been smashed by the ancient god body and coughed out blood, clearly saw the 7th star between Wang Lin's eyebrows that seemed to be breaking out of a cocoon. No one understood Wang Lin's ancient god body better than Tuo Senator. The moment he saw this, he knew everything. He also knew that Wang Lin was experiencing the inheritance that he thought belonged to him. You stole my inheritance of memory, and now you want to steal the ancient inheritance. Tuo Sen's eyes were bloodshot and he seemed to have gone crazy. When the 18th breath arrived, he ignored his injuries and charged forward. He was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, he closed in on the net he had broken and was about to enter. At this moment, when the 18th breath arrived, the rebound force from the throne could no longer be calculated. It swept across Wang Lin's waist and quickly spread to his entire body. In an instant it reached his chest. His flesh was torn and his bones exploded. Popping sounds came from his remaining left arm. The moment it collapsed, Wang Lin revealed a crazed expression and his left hand pointed to between his eyebrows. 20 ancient leaves flew out and he waved his left hand. The 20 ancient leaves turned into rays of black light that shot forward. After completing this last action, his left arm collapsed into a pile of flesh and blood. Seal! Ling Dong, Zhou Jin, stop this person. The speed of the 20 ancient leaves was extremely fast. Just as Tuo Sun was about to rush out of the broken net, the 20 ancient leaves sealed him and collided with his body. However, Tuo Sun was so strong that not even the realm sealing formation could stop him. The moment the ancient leaves sealed him, he threw a punch with his right hand. With a deafening roar, out of the 20 ancient leaves, 3 of them were instantly reduced to dust. Tuo Sun's right hand reached out from the collapsed ancient leaves and mercilessly reached toward the side. He was about to tear it open. Ling Dong clenched his teeth and ignored his injuries. His hands formed a seal and he waved his hand. A monstrous, purple sea containing countless Joss flame souls rushed out and charged forward. The burly man from the Heavenly Wolf clan also jumped into the air and roared, "Wolves worship the moon!" At the instant his voice left his mouth, illusionary wolves appeared around Zhou Jin. In the blink of an eye, there were hundreds of thousands of them, and they filled the sky. Above the palace, a blood-colored moon appeared out of thin air. These hundreds of thousands of illusionary wolves let out mournful howls and jumped into the air. They turned into smoke and fused with the blood moon. Smoke filled the air and shot toward the blood moon. After absorbing hundreds of thousands of smoke signals, the blood moon descended toward Tuo Sun's outstretched fist. 2 early-stage Nirvana Void cultivators used their most powerful spells at the same time. They turned into a destructive force that shot toward Tuo Sun. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The moment Ling Dong's Joss Flame Sea collided with Tuo Sun's fist, the blood moon smashed down. Tuo Sun's right hand had to retreat. However, the moment he withdrew his right hand, Tuo Sun's head came out from the gap and let out a roar that shook the entire palace. Ancient God Roar. This roar was like thunder that echoed across the entire palace. The ancient god power fused with this roar and formed a storm. This storm was filled with madness and tyranny, and as it swept by, Ling Dong coughed out blood once more. The purple sea before him collapsed and he was knocked back. He no longer had the power to fight. The blood moon around Zhou Jin of the Heavenly Wolf clan began to distort and miserable screams came from within. The smoke that had fused with the blood moon collapsed layer by layer. In an instant, even the blood moon was torn apart and disintegrated. Zhou Jin's face was pale and his chest caved in. He coughed out blood as he was knocked back and landed on the ground. The storm formed by the ancient god roar swept through the palace. The bodies of the cultivators collapsed one by one. The 8 bodies turned to dust, and even the 8 dragons disintegrated. Only the bodies of the 3 ancient order clansmen didn't collapse under this roar. Tuo Sun was crazy. Just like he had roared before, Wang Lin had stolen his memory inheritance, and now he was going to steal the ancient inheritance. How could he not be crazy? He was even willing to be seriously injured to take back what he thought belonged to him. When Ling Dong and Zhou Jin couldn't stop him, Tuo Sun's arms reached into the gap in the ancient leaves and was about to rush in. All of this took a long time to describe, but in reality, it happened extremely quickly. Wang Lin's body that was frozen on the throne continued to collapse due to the rebound force of the 18th breath. His chest and left arm disappeared in the blink of an eye. Only a head was left floating above the throne, and it was firmly connected to the throne by a will. However, this collapse didn't end. The 18 breaths seemed to be extremely slow, as if there was no end. Cracks appeared on Wang Lin's head and chin. His lips, nose, eyes, and everything else disappeared in an instant. Only the 6 stars between his eyebrows continued to rotate rapidly. Just as the collapse was about to destroy Wang Lin's ancient god stars, Wang Lin's origin soul was hidden inside. The 7th star suddenly flashed with a blinding light, and a vast amount of ancient god power burst out from the 7th star like a tide. As it exploded out, the 7th star went from illusory and blurry to corporeal. It had completely and utterly appeared. The moment the 7th star appeared, the rotation of the 7 stars between Wang Lin's eyebrows slowed down. The 7 stars turned into a vortex and rotated once. An ancient god aura that was much more powerful than when Wang Lin was at 6 stars erupted from the 7 stars. Wang Lin's head came out from between his eyebrows. His closed eyes, nose, and lips appeared. It was as if his complete head had been reborn. At the same time, the 7 stars rotated a second time. Wang Lin's neck, chest, abdomen, arms, and his entire upper body appeared out of nowhere. His bones appeared first, then his flesh and blood appeared. Every strand of muscle contained a great deal of ancient god power, and every inch of bone contained a majestic ancient god aura. The stars between Wang Lin's eyebrows rotated a third time. His lower body suddenly appeared. This reformed ancient god body was no longer thousands of feet tall, but 10,000 feet tall. 10,000 feet tall ancient god. 7-star ancient god. 10,000 feet tall royal 7-star ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. He was still sitting on the chair and hadn't left at all. The 7 stars between his eyebrows suddenly began to rotate rapidly. Bursts of ancient god power filled his body. At this moment, Wang Lin felt like he could blow up a cultivation planet with one punch. At this moment, the black tortoise's strongest attack that the 2nd-generation vermilion bird had taught him on the great emperor planet filled his mind with his comprehension of the Tao of strength. If this was it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but the inheritance's spells appeared inside the chair. These spells were like broken divine sense that charged toward Wang Lin. They entered his mind and became his own memories. At the same time, perhaps because Wang Lin had sat on the chair for 18 breaths, the moment his 7-star ancient god body reformed, his divine sense formed an inexplicable connection with the chair. This connection was extremely strange. Not even Wang Lin could figure out how it had appeared in a short period of time, and he didn't have the time to ponder it. It was because of this connection that the chair seemed to turn into a platform. As Wang Lin sat on it, the entire 3rd floor of the ancient order tomb appeared in his mind. His divine sense was magnified countless times by the chair in a way he didn't understand. He felt that there was a will inside the ancient order tomb. This was the will of the ancient order tomb. It was also the will left behind by ancient order Yemo. Wang Lin's divine sense continued to be magnified and fused with this will. Then it spread out like crazy from the palace. The first to come into contact with it was Tuo. Senator Tuo Sen's roar suddenly stopped and his body trembled. His eyes were filled with terror. In the 9th map, the charming woman in pink had a gloomy expression as she charged forward. The restriction she used to control Tuo Sen had loosened for some reason, and this made her feel very uneasy. I didn't expect a little ancient god like him to enter first, but I have Tuo Sen, so it's not like I don't have a chance. However, why has the restriction loosened? She frowned and pondered as she moved forward. Suddenly, the woman's body trembled. The space turbulence in the 9th map in front of her seemed to be swept away by a gust of wind. She looked up, and her expression changed. She could clearly feel a divine sense that made her tremble just now sweep past her. The power of this divine sense caused the woman's mind to rumble. She stood there in a daze for a long time before she recovered. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. This is... Whose divine sense is this? Could it be that ancient order Yemo wasn't killed by the celestial sovereign? Toa Sen's star was a mess. It wasn't 9 stars, it was 8 stars. I have already corrected it, please forgive me. Chapter 1473. His mind was muddled and he had actually remembered Toa Sen's star incorrectly. It was not 9 stars, it was 8 stars. Sweat. Also in the 9th map, Devil Master 9 Heaven's avatar's eyes lit up and he quickly moved forward. His original body had already entered the tomb, and although Wang Lin had taken the initiative, he wasn't worried at all. Steal it. Even if you steal everything, you won't be able to leave this tomb alive. There was a flash of coldness in Devil Master 9 Heaven's eyes. However, just at this moment, the void before him rumbled and countless chaotic flows scattered. In an instant, a powerful divine sense swept by Devil Master 9 Heaven's avatar and spread far away. However, this sweep caused Devil Master 9 Heaven's avatar to tremble. His mind trembled and his expression changed greatly. At that moment, when the divine sense swept over him, he even had the illusion that all his secrets had been discovered by that divine sense. Terrified, Devil Master 9 Heaven's avatar stopped in the air and his eyes were filled with shock. At that moment, his scalp went numb and he felt like his soul was about to leave his body. This was the only time he had felt something like this before he became a 3rd step cultivator. Who the hell is this divine sense? Devil Master 9 Heaven's face was pale as he stared at the void before him. For the first time, fear appeared in his heart. It wasn't just Devil Master 9 Heaven's avatar and the woman in pink who felt this. All the surviving cultivators felt this monstrous divine sense sweep by. Their hearts trembled. This divine sense was filled with an overbearing aura, like an emperor looking down on the earth from the sky. In the 7th map, there was an old man wearing linen. His lips had been pierced by 3 needles and his old face was filled with cruelty. Esteemed Great Desolation, whose original body had entered the tomb, was walking forward. His original body was filled with arcane void cultivation and gave off a heaven-shaking aura that no one could resist. He walked leisurely, crossing a map in 5 steps and heading straight ahead. But at this moment, his body suddenly stopped moving forward, and a bright light suddenly flashed in his eyes. Wang Lin's divine sense, which was fused with the will of the ancient tomb, swept past Great Desolation. Great Desolation's hands formed a seal, and he reached out as if he wanted to pull out this divine sense that shocked him. However, just as his right hand touched the divine sense, a rebound force came out and collided with Great Desolation. A thunderous rumble echoed and Great Desolation retreated. His expression changed greatly and his mind trembled. "Who are you, sir?" No one answered him. Their divine senses continued to spread out from the 7th map, then the 6th, the 5th. In the 4th map, 9 Heaven's true self and Taoist Miao Yin moved forward at the same time. Their expressions were calm, and with each step they took, they crossed an endless distance. But all of a sudden, Jiutian original body's expression changed. The old man's avatar has discovered. Before he could finish speaking, he stopped. The divine sense that his avatar had felt before suddenly arrived and extended past him and Miao Yin. Miao Yin's pupils shrank. His mind was shaken by this divine sense. He couldn't help but be shocked and look at Devil Master 9 Heavens. Devil Master 9 Heaven's expression was gloomy, and there was also shock in his eyes. Very strong. Very strong. The woman in white, who was ranked 3rd among the 8 concubines, didn't continue forward in the ancient tomb. Instead, she sped up. She crossed one map after another and arrived at the 1st map. She gave up on obtaining good fortune here and chose to leave. She had a bad feeling. It was as if she didn't leave now, she would be left here forever. As she charged forward, the divine sense suddenly swept past her. The moment it swept past her, it suddenly stopped. The expression of the woman in white changed and sweat instantly appeared on her forehead. Her body froze and she didn't dare to move even an inch. Her mind pounded as the divine sense gathered on her body. It was as if her entire body was being seen clearly. Aside from fear, there was also a sense of shame that she quickly suppressed. After a long time, the divine sense slowly moved away from her and spread forward. It wasn't until the divine sense left that the woman in white let out a sigh of relief. Her beautiful face turned slightly red, and after pondering a bit, she looked at the direction the divine sense went with a complicated expression. Wang Lin sat on the chair in the palace and his divine sense spread out uncontrollably. He saw all the cultivators of the ancient star system, the charming woman in pink and Devil Master Nine Heaven's avatar. As it spread, he saw exalted Great Desolation, Nine Heaven's true body, and old Taoist Miao Yin. Finally, he saw the woman in white. As his divine sense spread out once more, he saw the rift that led to the ancient star system. Wang Lin's divine sense finally stopped next to the rift. At this moment, after fusing with the will of the ancient order tomb, Wang Lin saw something he couldn't see with his current cultivation level. Something that even Tao Master Miao Yin and company couldn't see. This rift was sealed by a powerful spell, making it impossible to close. Outside the rift, the giant palm print still hadn't dissipated and was still floating there. The black-robed figure didn't leave but silently floated outside the rift. However, just as Wang Lin's divine sense closed in on the rift, the black-robed man suddenly raised his head. His eyes shined brightly inside the black robe. His gaze seemed to penetrate the rift and see Wang Lin's divine sense inside. Silence. The two of them silently looked at each other through the rift. "Who are you?" The two of them spoke almost at the same time. The difference was that the black-robed man's voice was ancient and hoarse, like the sound of rubbing. Wang Lin's words came through the fluctuations of his divine sense and the will of the tomb. It also gave off the feeling that he had lived for countless years. The black-robed man slowly said, "Old man, sovereign of the ancient star system." Inside the rift, Wang Lin silently pondered and didn't send out his will for a long time. The black-robed man frowned and calmly said, "No matter who you are, please let them out. The old man will definitely reward you greatly." Fishing the moon in the well, a very good spell. A moment later, Wang Lin's words passed through the rift and entered the black-robed man's mind. The black-robed man's body trembled, and he waved his right hand without hesitation. The giant palm print descended toward the rift. However, he was a step too late. Wang Lin had fused with the will of the tomb, so he was the tomb. The rift should have closed, but due to an external force, it had remained open until now. However, as Wang Lin moved, a thunderous rumble came from the rift. The force inside the rift couldn't withstand the pressure of the entire tomb, including Yi Mo's remnant divine sense. The rift rapidly shrank. Once it shrank, Wang Lin could use his fusion with the will of the tomb to create a seal so that the tomb couldn't be opened for tens of thousands of years. Make it so that no one who entered would be able to leave. Cut off 30% of the ancient star system's power. The black-robed man let out a low roar and took a step forward. At the instant he closed in on the rapidly closing crack, he lifted his right hand. At the instant he lifted his withered palm, it fused with the descending palm print. It was as if that incomparably large palm print had instantly fused with this person's right palm. As he waved it, it slammed down on the crack. At this instant, the black-robed man's right palm gave off a scorching aura. This heat wasn't fire, it was light. It was the power of origin. The light was dazzling and the palm landed on the rift. It pierced through and shot toward Wang Lin's divine sense. This palm was very powerful, and the moment it entered the tomb, it caused the entire tomb to tremble. It landed on Wang Lin's divine sense and swept by like a storm. This caused Wang Lin's divine sense to be knocked back. The power of this palm was enough to destroy the world. Its power was already the limit of this star system. However, How could the will of the tomb and Yi Mo's remnant divine sense be so easily destroyed? The moment the palm entered through the rift, a thunderous roar came from the third layer. Outsiders couldn't hear this roar, only Wang Lin's divine sense could hear it clearly. The roar fused with the will of the tomb and entered Wang Lin's divine sense. This caused Wang Lin's eyes to shine brightly. The moment the golden light appeared in his eyes, the roar that had entered his body through his divine sense seemed to rumble inside his body. It turned into a strange fluctuation that entered Wang Lin's throat. When he opened his mouth, the roar came out like crazy. Roar! The power of one roar! The world changed colors and it shook the world. The storm covered the sky and Tua's son coughed out blood. His body was knocked back and he used his arms to support his body. In an instant, more than half of his body was separated from his flesh and blood, revealing white bones. What collapsed was the body of an 8-star royal ancient god. The roar came from Wang Lin's mouth and shook the entire tomb. Devil Master 9 Heaven's avatar collapsed without any ability to resist. The fourth concubine coughed out blood and waved the satin that had allowed her to avoid the giant palm. This satin was given to her by the ancient celestial sovereign. The satin collapsed. The beautiful woman let out a miserable scream and her body exploded. Her origin soul flew out and used some unknown spell to barely survive after collapsing several times. Great desolation, 9 Heaven's original body, and Miao Yin all coughed out blood and their bodies collapsed. Arcane void cultivators didn't have any ability to resist this roar. However, as arcane void cultivators, they had their own life-saving spells. As this roar echoed, the origin souls of the 3 of them survived. They took out their spare bodies and their eyes were filled with monstrous terror. They didn't dare to continue forward and retreated without hesitation. They were going to leave this tomb. The roar rumbled as it charged at the rift on the first map and collided with the invisible palm print. The power of one roar. Chapter 1474. The palm print didn't resist at all and collapsed like a piece of dead wood. After shattering the palm print, the roar poured out from the crack and landed in the outside world, in the mind of the black-robed man floating in the starry sky. Roar! This is... The black-robed man's face, which was hidden under the robe, changed drastically. His body trembled violently and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He retreated in a frenzy, but he had only taken 3 steps before his legs exploded. There was no flesh or blood, only white bones. His black robe was torn in half, and he let out a miserable scream as he retreated. The sovereign, the most mysterious cultivator in the ancient star system, the one who had used fishing the moon in the well on Wang Lin, fled like a stray dog. The power of one roar, the power of one roar. Back then, he was forced back billions of kilometers by a roar from someone in the inner realm. Today, he was forced back again by the power of one roar and disappeared without a trace. However, aside from him, no one knew if the roar belonged to the same person or not. The rift that existed in the ancient star system rapidly shrank. Inside the ancient tomb, the woman in white arrived next to the rift with a pale face. However, she was shaken by the roar, and although she had used a special method to preserve her body, she was injured. She could only watch the rift shrink, but she didn't have time to leave. "You helped me once, so I'll help you once." Just as the woman in white was in despair, Wang Lin's divine sense voice entered her ears. The woman in white was familiar with this divine sense. It was the one that made her angry. However, when she heard this voice, her expression immediately changed. "It's you!" The moment she spoke, the rift that was about to close suddenly paused. The woman in white suppressed the shock in her mind. She knew that now was not the time to ask questions, so she charged toward the rift. In the blink of an eye, she closed in on the rift and stepped out. She turned around and looked profoundly at the ancient tomb behind her. She could vaguely feel the existence of Wang Lin's divine sense. A complex look flashed across her face. She thought of the place where the divine sense stopped on her body. The shame of being seen all over her body appeared again. She turned around and walked out of the crack. The moment he left, the rift suddenly shrank and disappeared from the ancient star system. Before Wang Lin's divine sense retreated, he used the will of this tomb to seal it for tens of thousands of years. The sovereign didn't die after hearing that roar. He must know that the woman in white entered the tomb. If he finds out that she has left, will he become suspicious? If he really becomes suspicious, it won't be a waste of my efforts. Inside the palace, Wang Lin sat on the throne, his divine sense returning to his body. Because his divine sense had fused with the will of the old tomb, there was no longer any repulsive force. He sat there with a calm expression. His gaze was like lightning as he stared at the broken illusory net in front of him, at Tuo Sen, who was swept away by the force of the roar. At this moment, Tuo Sen was in an extremely sorry state. His body was a bloody mess, revealing his white bones. The remaining flesh and blood rapidly moved and healed. This was an extremely rare opportunity. Tuo Sen was seriously injured. If it was anyone else, they would attack without hesitation, but Wang Lin didn't. He was an ancient god, and Tuo Sen was also an ancient god. An ancient god should have the dignity of an ancient god. If this was a battle before he became a 7 stars cultivator, Wang Lin would have attacked without hesitation. However, right now he wanted to fight a complete Tuo Sen. In addition, he had an even more important reason, and he had to do this. Your ancient god stars have shattered many times. Although you used some unknown method to recover them to return to 8 stars, they are still not as good as before. Wang Lin sat on the throne and looked down from above. A domineering aura spread out from his body and entered Tuo Sen's mind. Tuo Sen was silent and increased the speed at which his body recovered. Ever since Suzaku escaped, his cultivation had taken over 2C's body. 2C's body was that of an 8-star royal ancient god that had lived for tens of thousands of years. 7 stars rotated between Wang Lin's eyebrows. In his right eye, demonic chi formed a vortex and formed an ancient demon star. However, because the inheritance that Wang Lin obtained did not have the power of an ancient demon, it was not complete. This ancient demon star could not be completely condensed. Unless he had a complete ancient demon avatar. It would be difficult to find an ancient demon avatar anywhere else, but in this ancient tomb, especially in this palace, it could be found. The petrified corpses of the 3 ancient clans that had not dissipated from the previous tremors still remained. Among them, there was an ancient demon corpse that was thousands of feet tall. It maintained its ferocious appearance from when it was alive and was very eye-catching among the corpses of the 3 clans. Wang Lin raised his right hand and reached out. The ancient demon corpse flew up and landed in front of Wang Lin. Wang Lin's right hand pressed down on the ancient demon corpse. Unfortunately, there is no royal ancient demon here. This corpse only has the aura of a royal ancient demon. Wang Lin's right hand pressed down on the ancient demon corpse. His right eye released demonic chi that flowed into the ancient demon corpse through his right hand. The ancient demon aura that Wang Lin had sealed in his body was extremely powerful. At this moment, the ancient demon's petrified body was like a bottomless pit that continued to absorb demonic chi. Wang Lin just sat there as the demonic chi flowed through his right hand like a raging river into his body. His eyes were still focused on the illusory net in front of him and on Tuo Sen, who was rapidly recovering. Giving time to Tuo Sen was not just to give him dignity, but more importantly, Wang Lin needed time as well. He could not get up and leave the throne to fight. Although the throne no longer had the repulsive force, it was also because the repulsive force had dissipated that the inheritance aura that made Wang Lin's eyes red was also gone. Wang Lin had a feeling that if he got up and sat down again, there would be no more inheritance. This was an indescribable feeling that he had obtained after his divine sense fused with the will of the tomb. Therefore, he could not get up, because just the inheritance had allowed him to become a 7-star ancient god. Wang Lin was not satisfied. He wanted more inheritances. He wanted the repulsive force to appear again. Only then would the inheritance aura increase several times and be forced out of the beating heart on the 3rd floor. There was only one way to make the repulsive force appear again. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with determination. Although Tuo Sun was outside and the repulsive force was extremely dangerous, he was not willing to give up. Therefore, the moment his eyes flashed with determination, he resolutely severed the fusion between his divine sense and the tomb. With a bang, the moment his divine sense and the will of the tomb were severed, a shocking force of rejection erupted from the throne once more. At the same time, the heart in the 3rd layer started beating, and waves of aura of inheritance surged into the throne with loud booming sounds. The strength of a 7-star ancient god far surpassed that of a 6-star ancient god. Wang Lin's body froze and he did not move an inch. As he resisted the repulsive force, he no longer sealed off the borrowed aura in his body and was worried that it would be taken away. Instead, he let go of everything and reversed his actions. Under the repulsive force of the throne, he actively and forcefully absorbed the inheritance aura that permeated the throne. Last night, he had not slept much in the hospital. In the morning, he had slept for a while before waking up to write. Now that his eyelids were fighting, it would be difficult for him to write any quality. He had unleashed 11,000 words in 4 chapters, except for Tuo Sun's star. It was a mistake, a mistake. Chapter 1475. The difference between being passive and being active was like the difference between heaven and earth. Not only did it change one's behavior, it also changed one's mentality. 7 stars of the ancient god body had appeared. After 2,000 years of cultivation, Wang Lin's ancient god body had finally reached 7 stars. The body of a 7-star ancient god was not something a second-step cultivator could easily injure unless it was during the ancient god calamity. Otherwise, it would be like the ancient gods back in the celestial realm. They would have to be besieged by countless celestials for several days before they could injure them. It could even be said that the body of a complete 7-star ancient god was comparable to an early-stage nirvana void cultivator. The most important thing was that in the ancient god clan, a 7-star ancient god would enter the period of rapid adulthood. When a 7-star ancient god was a 7-star ancient god, his physical body would continue to grow stronger as time passed. After 5 stars, it was extremely difficult to increase another star. However, once they succeeded, their strength would increase several-fold. At this moment, Wang Lin had his spells, fire and thunder essences, and Dao spells. Although he hadn't reached the 3rd step, he could battle early-stage nirvana void cultivators without being at a disadvantage. Unless there was an accident, he could win. The 7-star Wang Lin wasn't much weaker than the 7-star 2C from back then. Although 2C had the complete inheritance, Wang Lin was the first person in history to fuse a cultivator and an ancient god. Wang Lin even dared to fight mid-stage nirvana void cultivators. Although he would lose, even mid-stage nirvana void cultivators would find it extremely difficult to kill him. Among the 3rd step cultivators, there were nirvana void, spirit void, arcane void, and void tribulent. Each realm was split into early, intermediate, late, and peak stages. The difference between each stage was very large, comparable to the difference between Nirvana Cleanser and Nirvana Shatter. Wang Lin's eyes were like a torch as he calmly sat on the chair. He allowed the rebound force to shake his body like it did at the 18th breath. However, the rebound force that was enough to make his body collapse didn't have much of an impact on his body now. If one were to connect the previous 18 breaths, then it would be 19 breaths, 20 breaths, and 21 breaths. 3 breaths of time passed in the blink of an eye. The rebounding force increased explosively, and as it battered Wang Lin's body, a rich aura of inheritance filled the air. This inheritance aura was devoured by Wang Lin like crazy. His body and the ancient devil's body seemed to turn into two terrifying black vortexes. After the inheritance aura was sucked into his body, it split into two and then rapidly withdrew. Because of the backlash from the throne, it was extremely difficult to pull away. However, Wang Lin didn't give up. He knew that if he missed out on this opportunity, it would be very difficult for him to come across another one in the future. 22 breaths, 2 sure sand breaths, 24 breaths. The recoil from the chair had already reached an extremely frightening level. Rumbling sounds could be heard, and Wang Lin's 7-star ancient god body was starting to feel a little overwhelmed. His body trembled and showed signs of collapsing. However, the recovery of a 7-star ancient god was far stronger than a 6-star ancient god. The moment his body collapsed, it rapidly recovered. As Wang Lin continued to absorb the legacy aura, a faint cyclone appeared between his eyebrows. This cyclone was the rudimentary form of the 8th ancient god star. Once this star appeared, Wang Lin would become an 8-star ancient god. An 8-star ancient god was an extremely powerful existence among the stars. However, becoming an 8-star ancient god was too difficult. It was far more difficult than forming a 7-star ancient god. Although the cyclone had appeared, if one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to see it clearly. Also, if Wang Lin were to relax for even a moment, this almost undetectable cyclone would immediately dissipate without a trace. At the same time, within the corpse of the ancient demon in front of Wang Lin, a vast amount of demon chi rumbled and was madly poured into it by Wang Lin. Even the demon star that had yet to solidify in Wang Lin's right eye was sent into the ancient demon's corpse. In a few breaths' time, the ancient demon's petrified body showed faint signs of recovery. It was no longer as hard as stone, but had become slightly softer. In his right eye, which had originally been dim and lifeless, there was now a dim light slowly flickering. It was as if one could see that a demon's star was about to appear within it. It was slowly condensing and becoming clearer and clearer. At this moment, behind the illusory net a few thousand feet in front of Wang Lin, Tua's son was rapidly healing. In a few breaths' time, his body had recovered by 80%. Tua Sen's body was that of 2C. 2C had been infinitely close to becoming a 9-star ancient god, and had reached the peak of the 8-star ancient god realm. He had even been stuck at the peak of the 8-star ancient god realm for far too long. His body alone had reached the limit of the 8-star ancient god realm. In order to break through to the 9-star ancient god realm, 2C had used the ancient god clan's secret skill, the black flow separation. However, this skill had failed, which was why the demonic spirit Tua Sen had appeared. The body that Tua Sen had occupied had a much higher recovery rate than Wang Lin. If he hadn't been injured by the roar, he wouldn't have taken so long to recover. Recovering to 80% was his limit. The last 20% wasn't a physical injury but the collapse of his soul caused by the roar. He would need to go into closed-door cultivation to recover, and he wouldn't be able to recover in a short period of time. Tua Sen suddenly looked up and the 8 stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly. He stared at Wang Lin, who was sitting on the chair behind the illusory net, and revealed a complicated expression. He could be said to be the person who understood Wang Lin the most in this world. From a little core formation cultivator to a grandmaster of a generation, he had given himself enough time to recover. This kind of thing sounded easy, but how many people in the world could actually do it? You want to fight me, so I'll grant you your wish. Back then, the battle outside the realm's ceiling formation wasn't exciting enough. Today, we'll fight again at the ancient Tao inheritance ground. As Tua Sen spoke, he stepped forward. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and he stepped into the inheritance palace through the gap in the ancient leaf seal. This was the first time Tua Sen didn't refer to himself as a god. This simple title revealed his recognition of Wang Lin as an ancient god. Tua Sen had never thought of Wang Lin as an ancient god. Even after he escaped, he still thought that Wang Lin was just a cultivator who had taken his inheritance. Even after Wang Lin became a 6-star ancient god, Tuo Sun still looked down on Wang Lin from the bottom of his heart. He still believed that Wang Lin wasn't worthy of becoming an ancient god. However, after seeing Wang Lin become a 7-star ancient god, feeling the powerful ancient god power inside Wang Lin's body, and personally witnessing Wang Lin go through an extremely dangerous inheritance and still restore his dignity, he had to accept Wang Lin's identity. Wang Lin was an ancient god like him. There is no hatred between us. This battle is our fated battle, the battle of inheritance. Tuo Sun's voice was like a wave. He took a step forward, causing the entire palace to tremble. Tuo Sun's body rapidly grew, and in the blink of an eye, he was 10,000 feet tall. He clenched his right hand into a fist and threw a punch. The body of an ancient god could change size according to one's will. This was something Tuo Sun could do. Before, Wang Lin couldn't fully comprehend it, but now that he had become a 7-star ancient god, he vaguely felt the edge of it. For example, the 10,000 feet tall body after becoming a 7-star ancient god was no longer the limit of a 7-star ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning. The moment Tuo Sun stepped into the palace, his eyes shined brightly and monstrous battle intent filled his eyes. The 7 ancient god stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly. The moment Tuo Sun's fist closed in, Wang Lin raised his left hand and threw a punch without hesitation. 2 ancient gods, 2 gods who were both part of Tu Si's inheritance, began their second fated battle in the ancient order tomb. Behind Tuo Sun, he punched out, causing a massive tempest to sweep through the palace. Esteemed Ling Dong and Zhou Jin were forced to retreat. The two of them were seriously injured and could no longer fight. They could only sit down cross-legged in the distance and heal as quickly as possible. Esteemed Ling Dong's expression was calm. He didn't care about the result of this battle at all and was completely immersed in cultivating. Zhou Jin had a complicated expression. He had personally witnessed how powerful and different Wang Lin was before and after entering the ancient order tomb. At this moment, he had given up all hope and closed his eyes to begin healing. At the instant Tuo Sun swung his fist, a gigantic illusory figure appeared behind him. That figure was as tall as the sky and incomparably huge. Its expression was filled with brutality, and an arrogance that seemed to look down on all living things spread out from it. The moment it appeared, the palace trembled violently as if it was going to collapse. This illusory figure was Tu Si, a peak 8-star ancient god Tu Si's shadow. Tuo Sun was a trace of Tu Si's demonic will. Although this demonic will had turned from guest to host, his soul and everything was still Tu Si. At this moment, Tu Si's shadow appeared behind Tuo Sun and also threw a punch. It moved like a meteor and followed Tuo Sun toward Wang Lin. At this moment, a giant shadow appeared behind Wang Lin. This shadow was also Tu Si. However, compared to the Tu Si behind Tuo Sun, this shadow wasn't tyrannical at all. Instead, it was filled with wisdom and vicissitudes. As Wang Lin threw a punch, the Tu Si shadow behind him raised his left hand and punched forward. If there was a sky, then the sky would change colors. If there were clouds, then the clouds would scatter. This was a fated scene. Looking from afar, the two figures were as tall as the sky. They looked exactly the same. Even the fine cracks on their skin were exactly the same. The two figures were swinging their fists and launching a frenzied attack. The only difference was that one ancient god was as tyrannical as a demon and the other was calm and wise. Below these two giant ancient gods was Wang Lin and Tuo Sun. The two of them got closer and closer. In an instant, Tuo Sun closed in on the stone platform. His right fist descended and collided with Wang Lin's left fist. At the same time, just as the two of them began their fated battle, a beautiful figure appeared outside the illusory net. This figure was the charming woman of the 8 ancient concubines. Thank you to Chopra, Jian Yu, and Half Dream Roar for being part of the 100 Renegade Immortal Alliance. When Wang Lin became a 7-star ancient god in the ancient tomb, he was bestowed with a great opportunity. He was honored by the roar of the ancient gods and blessings. In addition, a fellow Taoist created a Renegade Immortal RPG map for Warcraft. My wife and I went to play it for a while. Unfortunately, the two of us were very, very bad. Before we could even react, we were killed by the first wave of monsters. If any fellow Taoist is interested, you can go here and download Xioner. Easy. However, it requires Frozen Throne version 1.20 to play. Chapter 1476. A thunderous rumble echoed. When Wang Lin and Tua Sen's fists collided, the heavens equal 2 seas fists behind them also collided. It was as if the void of the palace was being torn apart. Thunderous rumbles echoed and 2 seas shadow behind Tua Sen trembled. His right arm collapsed and his body was knocked back. His body continued to retreat. Each step was 10,000 feet, and after 4 steps, the ferocious and tyrannical 2 seas shadow collapsed. The wise 2 seas shadow behind Wang Lin also trembled and his left arm exploded. He retreated 3 steps and countless cracks appeared on his body. In an instant, his body shattered into pieces and exploded. The 2 ancient god shadows expanded and unleashed a heaven-shaking impact. A giant crack appeared in the void of the palace and a cracking sound came from between the 2 ancient god shadows. The crack turned into a ravine that connected the heavens and the earth. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, in this fated battle, Tua Sen's fist collided with Wang Lin's. His body trembled and his eyes shined brightly. Countless ripples appeared between their fists like the surface of water. Each ripple contained a terrifying impact, and they rumbled as they tore each other apart. The 2 of them used different methods for their punches, but they both used their Tao to prove their Tao. The moment Tua Sen's fist landed, he threw out 99 punches in a row. It looked like one punch, but the truth was that his 99 punches were so fast that they fused into one punch. This was Tua Sen's Tao of force, using force to break the heavens. If I can't kill you with one punch, then I'll use 99 punches. All forces converge into one, and I don't need any technique at all. Even if you have endless resistance, you'll still be crushed by these 99 punches that are like layers upon layers of waves. Wang Lin's punch used the Black Tortoise spell he learned from the 2nd-generation Rosefinch on the Great Emperor planet. He fused the rebound force into his fist and borrowed the rebound force to make his punch explode. Simply put, Wang Lin's punch treated Tua Sen like the surface of water. The moment his punch collided with Tua Sen's fist, it created a powerful rebound force. This rebound force was cleverly borrowed by Wang Lin and turned into his own attack. Wang Lin's punch didn't just contain his own power, it also contained Tua Sen's power. Compared to Tua Sen's Tao to prove his Tao and the 99 punches, Wang Lin's punch didn't just contain 2 types of power. In addition to his own power and the borrowed power from Tua Sen, there was another important force. It was the existence of this force that allowed Wang Lin to face the 8-star Tua Sen fearlessly. This power was the repulsive force that was exploding out from his seat. This force rushed into his body and whistled out through his punch. It turned into a monstrous divine power and collided with Tua Sen's fist. Blood flowed out of the corner of Wang Lin's mouth. Cracking sounds came from the seat under him, and 3 cracks appeared on it. The moment the cracks appeared, the huge stone platform under the seat began to crumble from the bottom. In the blink of an eye, half of it had crumbled into pieces. Blood also flowed out of the corner of Tua Sen's mouth. Unlike Wang Lin, his body was in midair, and he couldn't release his power. At that moment, his body tumbled back several thousand feet and approached the illusory net. Nice. Just this method of proving your Tao through strength alone makes you, Wang Lin, qualified to be called an ancient god. As Tuo Sun retreated, the charming woman in the illusory net had used some kind of divine power to reform her physical body. She followed Tuo Sun's connection and found this place. She saw the battle between Tuo Sun and Wang Lin with her own eyes. Her expression changed, and killing intent appeared in her eyes. Her body flashed, and she was about to enter the illusory net to help Tuo Sun kill. However, just as she was about to step into the illusory net, Tuo Sun closed in on her as he retreated. He clenched his right hand into a fist and turned around to throw a punch at the charming woman who was about to walk out of the net. Get lost. Outsiders don't have the right to participate in the battle of the God tribe. The charming woman clearly didn't expect Tuo Sun to attack her. The moment the punch arrived, she immediately formed a seal with her hands and waved them before her. They turned into a spinning ribbon that blocked Tuo Sun's sudden punch. The charming woman was already seriously injured, so she coughed out blood and retreated a few steps. The charm on her face completely disappeared and was replaced by a fierce and shrill voice. Tuo Sun, you dare to defy my will! There was a flash of coldness in Tuo Sun's eyes. He sneered and threw another punch at the celestial imperial concubine. He coldly said, Do you really think this god is a reckless person? If it wasn't for the fact that I need you to heal me, how could this god allow you to control me? Who in this world is qualified to control this god? You are just a plaything of the celestial sovereign, yet you dare to scheme against me? Scram! Thunderous rumbles echoed as the storm formed by Tuo Sun's fist rushed into the illusory net and forced the already seriously injured celestial imperial concubine to retreat again. When she retreated tens of thousands of feet, Tuo Sun's hands grabbed the illusory net and mercilessly pulled. His ancient god power surged into the illusory net and sealed it once more, preventing the celestial imperial concubine from entering. All of this happened in a flash. Tuo Sun turned around and looked at Wang Lin. Now, no one can disturb our battle. Although most of the stone platform had collapsed, as time passed, it was already the 39th breath. The rebound force from the throne had reached the limit that Wang Lin could withstand. Even with the recovery of a 7-star ancient god and the 2 essences in his body, it was difficult for him to continue. If he continued, his body would collapse once more and he would die completely. As the rebound force from the throne became even more fierce, the inheritance aura increased greatly and was absorbed by Wang Lin like crazy. The vortex of the 8th star between his eyebrows became more and more clear. The ancient devil's corpse that hadn't been destroyed in the previous battle had its 2nd, 3rd, and 4th devil stars forming in its right eye as demonic energy surged into its eye. As Wang Lin continued to absorb the inheritance aura, blood came out of his left eye and bursts of pain came from it. This ancient inheritance was incomplete because Li Guang had shot out Yimo's left eye. The more he absorbed the inheritance aura, the more pain he felt in Wang Lin's left eye. It was as if he had become the Ancient One from back then and his left eye had collapsed. Even the world he saw with his left eye became blurry. It was as if Wang Lin's left eye was rapidly disappearing. If this was it, it wouldn't be a big deal. After all, Wang Lin didn't need a mere left eye. However, the Ancient One that Li Guang shot out contained half of his life's memories and his longing for his hometown. As a result, under the intense pain from his left eye, Wang Lin's memories seemed to be torn apart. Half of his 1,000 years of memories, including his longing for Li Muan, his hometown, Suzaku, and everyone else, were torn apart. It was as if they were going to disappear with his left eye. Give me back my left eye! As Wang Lin absorbed the inheritance aura, this roar echoed in his mind. It was at this moment that Tuo Sun sealed the illusory net. His eyes were filled with battle intent and he stepped toward Wang Lin. His right hand reached toward the sky and a thunderous rumble echoed. A spear 1,000 feet long appeared in Tuo Sun's right hand. The 2C royal family treasure, the god-slaying spear. As he roared, Tua's son held the god-slaying spear in his right hand and tilted it back a bit. All the power in his body surged into the god-slaying spear, and he mercilessly threw it at Wang Lin. The god-slaying spear gave off a dazzling light and gave off a powerful ancient god aura. It shot out like lightning toward Wang Lin. Blood continued to flow out from Wang Lin's left eye and stained his body. The moment the god-slaying spear closed in, Wang Lin raised his head. The world he saw with his left eye was mostly blurry, and the memories in his mind were being torn apart, causing the veins on his face to swell. When the god-slaying spear closed in and Tua's son closed in, the 44th breath of time had passed. The rebound force from the throne entered Wang Lin's body. He closed his eyes and recalled the punch Emo threw from the throne. One palm. One finger. God tremble, weapon cultivation array. With his eyes closed, Wang Lin inhaled as if he was breathing. Blood flowed out from his orifices, but he absorbed a large amount of inheritance aura from the throne. His left hand gently threw a punch. The void in front of him immediately distorted, and waves of ripples spread out in all directions with him as the center. Apart from the 7 rotating stars between his eyebrows, the 8th star had begun to condense and the cyclone was rapidly taking shape. Although the cyclone was still far from forming the true 8th star, it was like reaching the foundation building stage. Once you reached the foundation building stage, you would have the qualifications to become an 8-star ancient god in the future. The birth of any star required the cyclone to form. Then, as it rotated, it would absorb enough ancient god power to form a star. The god-slaying spear was extremely fast and closed in. It was less than 100 feet from Wang Lin. Wang Lin's hair was pushed back and the countless pieces of the collapsed platform flew backward, creating a powerful gust of wind. Devil Dao, life and death reversal. Wang Lin still had his eyes closed. His left hand formed a fist and pointed forward. Thunderous rumbles echoed as his finger pointed toward the god-slaying spear. The moment his finger touched the tip of the god-slaying spear, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. At the same time, his divine sense erupted with a bang and charged into the throne without a care for anything else. Under the rebound force from the throne, his divine sense collapsed layer by layer, and through the strange connection between the throne and the beating heart in the 3rd layer, he charged straight towards the heart. The Outer Realm's opening chapter, the first fate battle. When the Outer Realm ends, it will also end with this fate battle. Tomorrow, the 10th volume, Shake the Inner Realm, will begin. Many fellow cultivators asked why it was still the 9th volume, the Peak of the Cloud Sea, even after arriving in the Outer Realm. This was because in Air Gen's outline, the words, Peak of the Cloud Sea, were divided into 2 parts. The upper part was the Cloud Sea and the lower part was the peak. Everything in the Cloud Sea was the upper part, and entering the Outer Realm was the lower part. It was the lower part of the peak. There was a lot of content in the 9th volume. Air Gen should have accomplished the words, Peak of the Cloud Sea. This volume was very difficult to write. On one hand, he had to write about the structure of the Cloud Sea and the karma before the battle. On the other hand, he had to write about fishing the moon in the well in the Outer Realm. There was also the inheritance of the Ancient Order tomb, which was very important. All the details, such as the power of the roar, had to be buried ahead of time. Today, he could finally relax. Tomorrow would be even better. Finally, he would give everyone a small guess. Who was the existence that was missing from the Ancient Order tomb? Guess correctly. No prize. Chapter 1477. One punch, one finger. The moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, both attacks erupted. The God Tremble punch created boundless ripples that spread out with Wang Lin as the center. The ground around Wang Lin was blown up. Countless pieces of the earth seemed to be peeled off and flew in all directions. Each ripple contained countless vibrations, and they exploded under Wang Lin's punch. The ground of the palace collapsed and the void was torn apart. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the ground collapsed and the remaining corpses shattered. They formed a giant storm with Wang Lin as the center. This storm roared and charged at Tuo Sun. Tuo Sun let out a roar and popping sounds came from his body. He struggled to move forward. Wang Lin withdrew his fist and his finger collided with the tip of the god-slaying spear. A thunderous rumble echoed and suppressed the sound of the storm. It was like a heaven-shaking roar. The god-slaying spear trembled. The god tremble and devil Dao power from Wang Lin's finger landed on the god-slaying spear. This forced the spear to stop. It was as if Wang Lin's finger had become the hardest object in the world and was strong enough to stop the god-slaying spear. The god-slaying spear trembled violently. Aside from the change in life and death caused by Wang Lin's devil Dao finger, it was also caused by the ripples. The ripples spread in all directions and battered the god-slaying spear. Layers of runes appeared on the surface of the spear. These runes flickered rapidly as if they were going to separate from the ripples. The god-slaying spear was the strongest royal treasure of ancient god 2C. As the god closest to 2C, the power of the god-slaying spear in Tuo Sun's hands was only second to 2C's. The moment Wang Lin's finger touched the god-slaying spear, he immediately felt an indescribable force. His finger felt like it was going to collapse, and the force entered his body and caused a thunderous rumble. Blood flowed out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth, but his eyes were filled with determination. His expression was still calm, as if everything was going according to his plan. This included the powerful force coming from the god-slaying spear. At this moment, his divine sense rushed into the throne and followed the strange connection between the throne and the beating heart on the third floor. However, the closer he got, the stronger the rebound was. With Wang Lin's own strength, he couldn't let his divine sense completely touch the heart on the third floor. It was at this moment that the powerful force from the god-slaying spear exploded in Wang Lin's body and spread out through Wang Lin's body. Several cracks appeared on the throne and the stone platform collapsed a bit more. At the same time, the powerful force from the god-slaying spear was forced into his body by Wang Lin. It turned into a force that pushed his divine sense toward the throne. His divine sense was about to dissipate and was moving very slowly due to the rebound force. However, when he was pushed by this great force, he was like an arrow that had left the bow. He endured the rebound force and broke through everything. He followed the strange connection and entered the third layer. With a bang, he connected with the beating heart in the third layer. Just at this moment, the moment Wang Lin's divine sense connected with the heart, the true inheritance appeared. Wang Lin immediately heard the sound of the beating heart. This sound was like thunder that echoed in his mind. It even affected Wang Lin's heart and caused his heart to beat in the same rhythm as the heart on the third floor. The beating became faster and faster. As the rhythm was maintained, Wang Lin's heart felt a sharp pain, as if it was under extreme pressure. The moment Wang Lin's heart maintained the same rhythm, a strange connection seemed to form between his heart and the heart on the third floor. Waves of memories that made Wang Lin's head ache rushed into his mind. These memories were endless and chaotic. They rushed into Wang Lin like a flood, regardless of whether he could bear it or not. This pain that felt like his soul was about to be torn apart was many times more intense than the first test of the ancient god realm. In this pain, Wang Lin let out a shrill cry. Thump thump thump, thump 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 thump, the heart on the third floor beat faster and faster. At the same time, Wang Lin's heart was also drawn in. As it beat rapidly, if one could see through Wang Lin's body and see the heart on the chest of the ancient god, one could clearly see that his heart was filled with countless blood vessels that were wriggling madly as if they were about to explode. Large amounts of blood flowed out from the blood vessels and dyed the surroundings red. All of this sounds slow, but in reality, it happened in an instant. As the heart on the third floor beat violently, a sigh seemed to echo in Wang Lin's mind. Then, with a roar, the heart on the third floor released a final burst of power and rushed toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin coughed out blood and countless cracks appeared in his heart. The moment the pain spread through his body, a ferocious expression appeared on Wang Lin's face as the figure of ancient god 2C appeared behind him. This figure's face was also filled with pain, as if it was struggling. However, when the last burst of power from the third floor's heart, the shadow of 2C behind Wang Lin collapsed. It was as if it had been erased from Wang Lin's ancient god inheritance. The moment 2C's shadow collapsed, a giant head replaced 2C and appeared behind Wang Lin. Just this head alone was as big as 2C's entire body. The head was blurry and it was impossible to see its appearance clearly. However, its left eye was empty and there was black blood flowing out. At a glance, the head's expression was extremely ferocious. The moment the head appeared and the last burst of power from the third floor's heart entered Wang Lin's body, the stone platform under Wang Lin collapsed. The mountain-like stone platform collapsed layer by layer and countless pieces of rubble scattered. The stone platform completely collapsed, as if it couldn't withstand the force. Even the chair itself trembled, and more than half of it was destroyed. The armrests were broken, and even the back of the chair was broken in half. Wang Lin's body seemed like it was going to be destroyed by this force. Wang Lin withdrew his left hand from the god-slaying spear and waved it. There was a monstrous blood light and the blood sword appeared. At this moment, without Wang Lin's left index finger resisting the god-slaying spear, the god-slaying spear flew toward Wang Lin. It seemed like it was going to pierce through Wang Lin's body. There was a flash of bloodlight. The moment the blood sword appeared, it contained the power that could destroy Wang Lin's body, the impact from the collapse of the stone platform, the destruction of the throne, and the tyrannical aura from the third floor's heart. It charged straight at the god-slaying spear. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. In an instant, the blood sword and god-slaying spear collided before Wang Lin. The god-slaying spear trembled violently, but the blood sword cut through the spear like a hot knife through butter. It flashed through the god-slaying spear like a hot knife through butter. There was a flash of bloodlight as the blood sword pierced through the god-slaying spear and charged at the roaring Tuo senator in the blink of an eye. It pierced through Tuo Sen's chest. It was as if nothing in the world could stop the blood sword. The moment it touched Tuo Sen, it pierced through Tuo Sen's chest. Tuo Sen let out a miserable roar and came out from Tuo Sen's back. Tuo Sen coughed out a mouthful of blood. His body trembled as he was knocked back several thousand feet. With a bang, he half knelt on the ground and looked up. At this moment, the god-slaying spear split in half before Wang Lin. It passed by Wang Lin and stabbed into the ground. All of the runes on the ground collapsed. The vortex formed by the eighth star between Wang Lin's eyebrows seemed to absorb endless aura and condense into a complete vortex. He had completed the most difficult process of condensing the eighth star. This gave Wang Lin a solid foundation to truly become the eighth star and gave Wang Lin the proof to become an eight-star ancient god in the future. Without this vortex, it would have been extremely difficult for Wang Lin to become an eight-star ancient god. Without tens of thousands of years of condensing, it would have been impossible. An eight-star ancient god was the strongest body only inferior to a nine-star ancient god. How could it be so easy? Under the powerful eruption of the third layer heart, the ancient devil corpse that Wang Lin's right hand was still pressing down trembled. All of the stone on the corpse collapsed and it no longer felt as hard as stone. At the same time, ancient devil stars rapidly flew out from the ancient devil's right eye. The fifth ancient devil star and the sixth ancient devil star suddenly appeared. All of this happened in a flash. Wang Lin's left eye was mostly blurry. Intense pain came not only from his heart but also from his soul. The feeling of his memories being torn apart filled his body and blood flowed out from his left eye. If he persisted any longer, his left eye would be completely blind and he would lose half of his memories, just like he had in the ancient order. Losing his memories, losing his parents, his lover, his hometown, and everything else was something Wang Lin couldn't do. He let out a mournful scream and suddenly stood up from the throne for the first time. He left the throne. The moment he left, the connection between his heart and the third-layer heart was cut off. The throne completely collapsed into pieces of stone and no longer existed. The entire palace suddenly became extremely quiet. Only 2 rapid breathing sounds could be heard echoing in the palace. Wang Lin closed his eyes and the giant head that replaced 2C slowly dissipated. After a long time, Wang Lin gradually calmed down and opened his eyes. From now on, I'm no longer an ancient god with 2C's inheritance. I'm ancient order. Wang Lin's right hand rose from the ancient devil corpse and pointed to between his eyebrows. There was a flash of ghostly light and the inheritance of 2C's memory was slowly taken out by Wang Lin. Chapter 1478. 2C's inheritance of memory had accompanied Wang Lin for more than 1,000 years, but now it had lost its effect. 2C was only a peak 8-star ancient god. The ball of light formed by the inheritance of memory appeared in Wang Lin's right hand. He looked at the ball of light, and after pondering a bit, he threw it at Tuo Sr. for you. Tuo's son was half kneeling on the ground. His chest was a bloody mess, and he was rapidly healing. He was startled for a moment as he caught the karmic object that he had chased all the way to the outer realm. This was the inheritance of memory that he had longed for. His body was visibly trembling. He had waited for this day for a very, very long time. From the moment the trace of demonic intent was sealed for countless years to when he watched Wang Lin take away the inheritance of memory, his anger and hatred were monstrous. In order to obtain this inheritance of memory, he was willing to do anything. After breaking the seal, he took over 2C's body and began a long search. The process was filled with bitterness. He had fantasized countless times that one day he would be able to extract the inheritance of memory from Wang Lin and make his inheritance perfect. However, he never expected that the inheritance of memory he had dreamed of would be returned by Wang Lin. Holding the ball of light formed by the inheritance of memory, Tuo's son silently pondered. After a long time, he raised his head and looked at Wang Lin with a complicated expression. Thank you. In Tuo's son's life, he had never once said thank you. In his mind, this word didn't exist. No one had the right to make him thank anyone. In fact, he didn't even need to thank anyone. His arrogance and arrogance were in his bones. When 2C's inheritance is complete, I don't know if he will awaken or if you will dissipate. Wang Lin had taken a part of the inheritance of the ancient Tao. Although it was only a part, there was only one inheritance, and no one else could obtain it. If one day Wang Lin's cultivation level reaches a point where he can withstand it again, he will return and continue to inherit. After saying this, Wang Lin waved his right hand. Ling Dong and Zhou Jin, who were shocked by this scene, were taken away by Wang Lin and placed into the Emperor Furnace. He also put the ancient devil's body into his storage space. After putting away the ancient leaf, the blood sword, and everything else, Wang Lin stepped forward. He had obtained a part of the ancient Tao's memory and knew more about the first floor than anyone else. As he stepped forward, ripples appeared under his feet and he was about to disappear from the palace. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly stopped. He turned around and looked at the void in the distance. However, in the northern part of the palace, a ripple suddenly appeared in the void. The ripple grew larger and larger, and in a moment it spread endlessly, turning into a large illusory net. A pressure spread out from the net, and then, a huge shadow suddenly appeared behind the illusory net. Things outside the net couldn't be seen inside, but Wang Lin clearly saw a giant shadow behind the net. This shadow was oval in shape and had countless tentacles swaying around its body. The aura of an ancient god came out of its mouth and continued to attack the illusory net. It was Wang Yu. There were two cultivators standing above Wang Yu's head, Ji Xiantian and Wudochan. The two of them were vigilant and carefully observed their surroundings, as if they were guarding against any accident. With the Moongazer serpent, the two of them didn't need a platform. Just like Tuasen, they found the palace and were about to use the Moongazer serpent to force its way in. However, the restriction to enter this palace was simply too powerful. According to their analysis, even a Moongazer serpent would need a long time to melt it. Although the two of them were anxious, they had to wait anxiously. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he revealed a sneer. He took a step forward and arrived next to the illusory net that had just appeared in the northern part of the palace. His right hand reached out and tore the net. Suddenly, a huge crack appeared on the illusory net. Ji Xiantian and Wudochan were startled outside the crack. Before they could see what was happening, a gust of wind blew toward them from the crack that suddenly appeared. The power contained in this gust of wind was something the two of them couldn't resist at all. They were swept by it and coughed out blood. They didn't even know why the gust of wind had appeared or why Wang Lin was here. They were sucked into Wang Lin's storage space as blood flowed out. Even the Moongazer serpent's giant body was forced back by this gust of wind. Its dim eyes shined brightly, and the seal between its eyebrows began to flash even more violently. Wang Lin walked out of the crack and didn't stop at all. He waved his sleeve, and Wang Yu's body trembled. A giant crack appeared behind her and she was sucked into it. She disappeared from the tomb and was put away by Wang Lin. Lu Chen should still be inside Wang Yu's body. Wang Lin owed Lu Chen a favor, and Wang Lin still remembered this. After putting away Wang Yu, Wang Lin let out a sigh and disappeared. The entire palace was in ruins, and at this moment, only Tuasen remained. He stared at the memory inheritance in his hand. There was no joy in his heart, only hesitation and confusion. The inheritance he had dreamed of his entire life was right in front of him, but he didn't know if what he had been searching for his entire life was right or wrong. To see, from the day I was born, I knew that I was born from a strand of your demonic intent, but this memory, is it real or fake? Did you really die from the failure of the ink flow divine soul separation art, or am I a part of your ink flow divine soul separation art? Am I Tuasen or Tu-Si? The confusion in Tuasen's eyes became even stronger. He silently knelt there, as if he was lost in thought, forgetting the passage of time. After the rift to the ancient star system closed, the fog became even thicker and moved like the sea. At this moment, there were still some cultivators inside the ancient order tomb. All those who were able to survive the sudden changes in the surroundings were people with profound cultivations, and they were extremely intelligent as well. That was why they were able to utilize all sorts of methods to avoid danger after danger. It could be said that these people were the essence of the various clans in the ancient star system. At this moment, in the 9th map, Wang Lin's figure appeared in a chaotic space and gradually became corporeal. He was in a different realm from the palace, so he avoided the beautiful woman among the 8 concubines. Wang Lin no longer had any interest in the cultivators inside the ancient order tomb. The cultivators here, especially Tao Master Miao Yin, Devil Master 9 Heavens, and Great Desolation, all had unfathomable cultivation levels. Although they had been injured by his roar, they had lived for tens of thousands of years and had various spells. Wang Lin didn't have the crazy thought of killing all of them like he did when he fought the sovereign. This wasn't realistic and didn't fit Wang Lin's current plan. The ancient order tomb had been completely sealed by Wang Lin, so these people would be trapped here for a long time and wouldn't be able to leave. That alone was enough. After appearing, Wang Lin raised his right hand and reached at the void before him. The 9th map trembled and layers of ripples appeared in the void before Wang Lin. It was as if the void was being torn apart and a giant rift appeared. Thunderous rumbles came from the rift and a corner of a giant, golden pavilion slowly appeared. Underworld. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had inherited part of the ancient order's memories and knew how to take out the underworld Yemo had left behind. This giant, golden pavilion had 3 windows, and the door was tightly shut. However, Wang Lin could clearly see 3 figures sitting inside. A powerful pressure was emitted from the pagoda and shrouded the surroundings. The moment the pavilion appeared, all the cultivators inside the ancient order tomb felt it. Miao Yin, 9 heavens, and great desolation felt it even more clearly. Wang Lin didn't waste any time. The moment the underworld palace appeared, he waved his sleeves and took the underworld palace into his storage space. Then he turned around and left. His figure suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, Wang Lin arrived at the 5th map, the place where the ancient leaf was sealed. This place was still the same as when Wang Lin left. There was no damage. After checking it a bit, Wang Lin waved his right hand and an ancient leaf imprinted on it. The moment the entrance opened, he took the leaf and entered. Everything here was the same as before. The vortex floating above the ground was still there and was slowly rotating. After arriving next to the vortex, Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit. With his current perception of the ancient order tomb, he could clearly feel the fluctuations of the underworld palace. The surviving cultivators inside the ancient order tomb were all rushing toward this place. There were several powerful divine senses that had locked onto him and were heading toward this place. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his right hand formed a seal. He waved his hand toward the sky and the seal disappeared without a trace. However, the moment it disappeared, the sea of fog under the 9 maps in the 1st floor of the ancient order tomb began to move. Sharp howls came from within the fog as if there were countless battle souls inside. Before I leave, I'll give you all a gift. The seal Wang Lin had formed was the symbol to open the 2nd floor of the ancient order tomb. With a sneer, Wang Lin stepped into the vortex. The moment he disappeared, his right hand reached at the void behind him. The entire sealed land trembled and disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin put it away and the vortex disappeared from the ancient order tomb forever. The moment the sealed land disappeared, Taoist Miao Yin and company arrived. However, they were a step too late. There was nothing before them. At the same time, the moment Wang Lin left, the silent Tuosun seemed to make up his mind. He held the inheritance of memories in his hand and pressed it between his eyebrows. In the inner realm, under the Thunder Celestial Realm, at the edge of the Luo Tian star system, where the greedy wolf was taken, a spatial rift silently appeared and a figure in white walked out. The moment this figure appeared, a shocking aura spread out from his body and turned into a powerful pressure that swept across the entire Luo Tian star system. This pressure was powerful enough to make the hearts of all living things tremble. Master Lu Fu was the first to clearly feel it. He was awakened from his cultivation. It's not the outer realm, but the Luo Tian star system. I've returned home. The figure in white pondered a bit and revealed a smile that hadn't appeared in a long time. Chapter 1479. There was a tense atmosphere in the Luo Tian star system. In the northwest part of the Luo Tian star system, there was a majestic planet formation made of 439 planets. There were many cultivators moving back and forth outside the planet formation. They were constantly adding power to the formation and placing down seals. Even further away, rays of light flew by. Countless cultivators chose a large amount of cultivation planets under the command of their leaders and dragged them over by force. There was a cloud vortex inside the planet formation. The fog wasn't thick, and one could clearly see an old man sitting inside. This old man was wearing a Taoist robe and gave off a sense of might without being angry. However, his face was a bit pale and thunder rumbled as he cultivated. It was as if this old man's body contained countless bolts of heavenly thunder. This old man was the 3rd step cultivator of the Luo Tian star system, Master Lu Fu. As an extremely rare 3rd step cultivator in the inner realm that only appeared once every tens of thousands of years, Master Lu Fu was like a god. His status was so high that all cultivators were like ants before him. Master Lu Fu could be said to be the guardian of the entire Luo Tian star system and the person who started the war against the Alliance star system. In his entire life, he had only escaped in a sorry state from Tua's senator later. When Tua's son appeared in the Luo Tian star system, Master Lu Fu was terrified and quickly hid himself. It wasn't until Tua's son left that he reappeared. Although he didn't have enough Joss flames, Master Lu Fu had his own special method to slowly recover from his battle with Tua's senator. Originally, everything was calm, but on this day, when Wang Lin walked out of the Ancient Order tomb and entered the Luo Tian star system, Master Lu Fu's eyes suddenly opened, and there was a flash of light. However, before he could think about it in detail, he felt the pressure from Wang Lin that swept the entire Luo Tian star system. Under this pressure, Master Lu Fu's expression changed greatly. He quickly stood up and stared into the distance with shock in his eyes. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate everything and see Wang Lin stepping into the Luo Tian star system. However, before he could see it clearly, a great force immediately smashed into his divine sense, causing his mind to instantly become chaotic. His vision blurred and everything became blurry. Master Lu Fu's expression changed again and he frowned. Who is this person? I can't see his appearance, but I feel like his divine sense is familiar. He shouldn't have reached the third step, but why do I feel a sense of fear from his blurry figure? Master Lu Fu was not the only one inside the vortex. There were 4 old men sitting around him. When Master Lu Fu suddenly stood up and his expression changed, the 4 old men's hearts trembled. They all stood up and looked at Master Lu Fu. If Wang Lin was here, he would immediately recognize these 4 old men as cultivators he was familiar with. Master Flamespark of the Thunder Celestial Temple, Li Yunzi, who had been seriously injured by Wang Wei, and the Yao family ancestor. Blood God, who had been seriously injured by Shimizu while chasing Wang Lin. Aside from the 3 of them, the last person was Xiang Yundong. This Xiang Yundong was the one who had taken Wang Lin to the Xiang family's ancestral planet and allowed Wang Lin to suffer the Qi Shi spell. He was the one who had almost all of Wang Lin's vitality sucked away by the Xiang family ancestor. Senior, may I know what happened? Master Flamespark had followed Master Lu Fu for the longest. When he saw Master Lu Fu's expression change, his mind trembled. He hesitated for a bit before clasping his hands and respectfully asking, Senior, what happened? Li Yunzi and company's eyes became serious and a bad feeling appeared in their hearts. In their eyes, Master Lu Fu was an unimaginably powerful third-step cultivator. This kind of person was a legend, and there were few things in the world that could make him lose his composure. However, before the 4 of them could hear Master Lu Fu's words, they felt a pressure that made their hearts tremble sweep over from the distant starry sky. This pressure was so strong that when it landed on the 4 of them, it was as if a great force had smashed into them. In an instant, their expressions changed greatly. Their minds trembled, and they had the illusion that they were going to collapse under this pressure. Fortunately, this pressure disappeared in a flash, but it was at this instant that the 4 people's faces turned pale, and their expressions changed in shock. They vaguely guessed the reason why Master Lu Fu had lost his composure. Master Lu Fu's expression was gloomy and his eyes lit up. He had always been cautious and rarely took risks. Only once did he suffer a great loss before the Tuas senator. Not only did he almost lose his life, but he also had to hide from the Tuas sun like a stray dog. Therefore, he became even more cautious. The pressure just now was so powerful that it made his skin crawl. He didn't want to investigate without knowing what was going on. After pondering for a bit, Master Lu Fu said, The 4 of you set up the Luo Tian illusion mirror. The old man wants to see who this person is. Why did he come to my Luo Tian star system? Master Flamespark and company respectfully nodded. Their minds trembled, and without hesitation, they sat down at the 4 corners. Their hands formed seals and they used the same spell. This spell was taught to them by Master Lu Fu. They had been cultivating it for a long time, and now it was complete. As their hands formed seals, a flash of white light appeared between them. The white light became brighter and brighter until it turned into a white mirror that looked like the surface of the water. This white mirror appeared. It was filled with distorted ripples and was a bit blurry. Master Lu Fu's eyes lit up and his right hand formed a seal. His index finger was like a sword as he pointed at the mirror. The ripples on the surface of the mirror suddenly stopped and stopped distorting. Instead, it slowly calmed down, and soon, a starry sky appeared within it. Within that starry sky, a white-haired man in white clothes was walking slowly. Wang Lin slowly walked through the Luotian star system. Everything around him felt familiar. Although the Luotian star system wasn't part of the alliance, Wang Lin had left too many footprints here. I wonder if the person from back then is still here. Wang Lin let out a sigh and suddenly frowned. He looked up at the bright stars and the thunder tattoo in his right eye flashed. Scram! After he spoke, the thunder tattoo in Wang Lin's right eye flew out from Wang Lin's pupil. The moment the thunder tattoo descended, it broke through the void and disappeared without a trace. As for Master Lu Fu, the moment the mirror formed by Master Flamespark's group of 4 appeared and he saw the white-haired person in white, he clearly heard Wang Lin's words. As the thunderous rumble echoed, the illusory mirror erupted with shocking thunder. Bolts of lightning shot out from the mirror and swept across the world. With a thunderous bang, the illusory mirror collapsed and a powerful shockwave spread out. Master Lu Fu's expression changed once more. He waved his sleeves and pushed the collapsed shockwave into the sky. Endless thunderbolts rose into the sky and turned into continuous thunderous roars that shook all the cultivators in all directions. When they looked up, the entire star system seemed to be replaced by thunder. It was as if divine retribution had arrived. Master Flamespark coughed out a mouthful of blood and quickly retreated. His eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment there was a crazed roar in his heart. Wang Lin! He is Wang Lin! He clearly saw the appearance of the white-haired person in white. He could never forget that person's figure. Li Yunzi also coughed out blood and retreated. His eyes were filled with fear and monstrous shock. He had interacted with Wang Lin the most, especially the last time at the Rosefinch Divine Sect. He had been suppressed by Wang Lin, and the memory was too deep. At this moment, he saw that the person in white looked exactly like Wang Lin. At this moment, he was startled and couldn't say a word. Wang Lin! It's him! Blood God's face turned pale and his heart pounded like crazy as he retreated. He couldn't believe what he had just seen. He couldn't imagine that the person he had chased like an ant and would have died to if it wasn't for Shimizu could have such a pressure that made his heart tremble. There was also the Xiang family's Xiang Yundong. His face was deathly pale. His cultivation level was the weakest, and at this moment, his origin soul was filled with the power of Wang Lin's thunder. This caused a deep crack to appear in his Tao heart. Wang Lin! Xiang Yundong's eyes were filled with fear. The first thing he thought of was that his family's ancestor had taken all of Wang Lin's vitality and used the excuse of treating Wang Lin's wife. As a result, a great grudge had been formed. Originally, the Xiang family didn't care about this at all. No matter how high Wang Lin's cultivation level was, it would be like throwing an egg against a stone against the entire Xiang family. Not to mention the fact that the Xiang family ancestor had been in closed-door cultivation for tens of thousands of years. With him around, few people dared to provoke him. Senior, this person's cultivation level. Xiang Yundong suppressed the fear in his heart and looked at Master Lu Fu. Master Lu Fu's expression became even more gloomy as he looked at the vast pool of thunder spreading into the distance. After a long time, he slowly said, Wang Lin. The old man remembers. Back in the land of the ancient god, the old man met this person before, there was a flash of complicated expression on his face. Master Lu Fu withdrew his gaze and walked into the depths of the vortex. This person's cultivation level hasn't reached the third step, but the old man isn't confident he can win. The old man won't care about the matter between you and him. Stay here and you'll be safe. This sentence entered the hearts of the four of them and immediately caused them to become silent. Master Flamespark's eyes lit up and he slowly calmed down. He knew that he hadn't done anything wrong to Wang Lin, and he even owed him some small favors. However, there was still a trace of shock that wouldn't disappear. The Zhan family's ancestor, Li Yunzi, had a gloomy expression. After a long time, he let out a sigh. The most nervous ones were Blood God and Xiang Yundong. A moment later, Xiang Yundong respectfully clasped his hands in the direction Master Lu Fu had left. He looked at the three people in front of him with a complicated expression before quickly leaving. He had to send this news back to the Xiang family as soon as possible so that they could prepare. An enemy that not even the Luo Tian ancestor, Master Lu Fu, was confident in winning. What could the Xiang family use to fight? Thinking about this, Xiang Yundong panicked. As for Blood God, he silently sat down. He didn't dare to go out. Chapter 1480. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he withdrew his gaze from the bright stars above. With his cultivation level, he could clearly feel the invisible fluctuations from before. Someone had used a Dao spell to lock onto him. It looks like my return has attracted a lot of attention. This is also good. Wang Lin revealed a smile. Right now he had the qualifications and cultivation to face everything. Even if others knew of his return, it didn't matter to him. Walking forward confidently, Wang Lin's pace wasn't fast, but every step took him countless steps. He looked at the familiar stars around him and silently walked forward. In the distance before Wang Lin, there was a group of nearly 100 cultivators flying around a planet filled with spiritual energy. They threw out thread-like objects that formed a net around the planet. Among this group of cultivators was a middle-aged man. His eyes were like lightning, and he was at the peak of the Nirvana cleanser stage. He had a majestic appearance, and his eyes shined brightly. Arcs of lightning moved around his body, making him even more majestic. All of you, pay attention and work together. Don't damage the cultivation planet. Otherwise, the Thunder Celestial Temple's blame is a small matter, but if it affects the Luo Tian's preparations, we will all have to go home and go into closed-door cultivation. The middle-aged man's voice was like thunder as it spread out. When it landed in the ears of the surrounding cultivators, they all revealed smiles. Zhan Konglai, it's fine for us to go into closed-door cultivation, but you are the leader of this generation of the Zhan family. How could your ancestor let you go into closed-door cultivation? Normally, being taught a lesson and going into closed-door cultivation isn't a big deal, but now we are preparing for war. Once the war begins, I won't be willing to be punished to go into closed-door cultivation. Brother Zhan, I heard that all 4 star systems are preparing for war, but the Cloud Sea is the leader. Many of us are confused about this. Why should we listen to the Cloud Sea? Do you have any news? Laughter echoed as everyone activated their origin energy. The cultivation planet rumbled and was slowly pulled out of its original trajectory. Under everyone's pull, the planet slowly floated forward. The middle-aged man was Zhan Konglai. There was also a thin line connecting his right hand to the planet behind him. As he flew forward, he smiled and said, "This matter was decided by my Luo Tian ancestor, Master Lu Fu, and the people of the other 3 star systems. I don't know much, but if there is news I'll tell you all. What's the rush?" When Master Lu Fu was mentioned, these cultivators revealed fanatical gazes. They had only learned about Master Lu Fu in recent years, including Zhan Konglai. In their eyes, Master Lu Fu was the strongest person in the Luo Tian realm and the guardian of the Luo Tian realm. As long as Master Lu Fu existed, the Luo Tian realm would not be destroyed. Looking at the people around him, Zhang Konglai let out a sigh. Unlike these people, there was only respect in Zhang Konglia's eyes, not a hint of fanaticism. It was as if his fanaticism had been taken away by someone many years ago. A long time ago, he, Zhang Konglai, had the same fanaticism from these people. He was once hot-blooded for it. As long as that person said it, he would do anything for that person. His fanaticism toward that person hadn't dissipated due to the passage of time. Instead, as he understood that person's identity, it became even stronger. However, where is he now? Zhang Konglia's eyes revealed a deeply hidden trace of reminiscence. He would often think of the past. That person had walked past the Luo Tian, and aside from himself, he had also affected Shingong Hu. Thinking about Shingong Hu, Zhang Konglai let out a snort. Over the years, Shingong Hu had opposed him everywhere, and their confrontation had become even more intense. These nearly 100 cultivators turned into rays of light and slowly flew forward. They moved faster and faster as they pulled the cultivation planet forward. A moment later, a white-robed figure slowly walked out from the distance before the group of cultivators. When he saw the group of cultivators, he stopped in midair and silently looked over. The appearance of the person in white immediately caught the attention of these cultivators. Zhang Konglia's eyes narrowed and he looked over. However, due to his cultivation level, he couldn't clearly see the person's appearance. Zhang Konglai stepped forward and arrived at the front. He sent out his divine sense. A bit strange, everyone be careful. The two sides got closer and closer, but the person in white still didn't move. He just calmly stood there and watched as the cultivators passed by him. No one could clearly see the person in white. It was as if everything they looked at would distort. It was as if there was a black hole where he stood that could devour everything. It wasn't until the nearly 100 cultivators pulled the cultivation planet past the white-robed man that everyone let out a sigh of relief. This person's cultivation level is not simple. From the looks of it, he shouldn't be someone from my Luo Tian. Right now, the barrier between the 4 star systems has been opened. As long as one has a guide, they can travel freely. This person should be from another star system. As they gradually disappeared into the distance, Zhang Konglai turned around and looked at the person in white that hadn't left. He frowned. This person seems vaguely familiar. Wang Lin looked at the group of cultivators before him and then at Zhang Konglai. Reminiscence appeared in his eyes. Zhang Konglai looked a bit older than before. He remembered back in the Thunder Lake. Zhang Konglia's cultivation level was clearly higher than his, but when he used the power of thunder to comprehend a sliver of source origin, Zhang Konglai had been scared to the point of breaking out in cold sweat. Zhang Konglai had even bowed to him as his master. Wang Lin smiled. To be able to see an old friend is a great blessing in life. Wang Lin smiled as he turned and walked into the distance. He was very happy. Wang Lin walked further and further away. The distance between him and the nearly 100 cultivators gradually became endless. Zhang Konglai was still frowning. He didn't even hear the words of the cultivators beside him. He looked at the figure that slowly disappeared from his sight, and that familiar feeling lingered in his heart. Very familiar. Zhang Konglai silently turned around and flew forward with the cultivators beside him. However, he was still thinking about where this familiar feeling came from. The blurry figure of the white-clothed person continuously appeared in his mind. The swaying of the white-clothed person's white hair when he turned around also clearly rose and fell in his mind again and again. I must have seen this person before. Zhang Konglai rubbed the spot between his eyebrows, but just at this moment, his right hand suddenly paused. The blurry figure in white in his mind gradually overlapped with the person in his memory. The moment they completely merged, Zhang Konglia's mind rumbled, as if 100,000 bolts of thunder had exploded at the same time, causing his body to tremble. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and he subconsciously turned around. His face immediately turned red and his eyes widened. In a brief moment of absent-mindedness, he could hear his own heart pounding. It's him. Zhang Konglai didn't hesitate to take a step forward. His speed was like thunder as he charged in the direction that Wang Lin had gone. His sudden action immediately caused the 100 or so cultivators around him to freeze in place. Zhang Konglai almost used his full speed to cross the endless star system. However, before him, there was no sign of Wang Lin. It wasn't until a long time that Zhang Konglai stopped and bitterness appeared in his eyes. "Why didn't you call me?" He stood there for a long time. Time passed. Zhang Konglai silently clasped his hands at the stars before him. He let out a sigh and left. In the depths of the Luo Tian star system, there was an empty star system. This place was desolate, and most of the cultivation planets weren't rich in spiritual energy. There was a small cultivation planet that gave off a soft glow and slowly rotated. The ocean occupied 70% of this cultivation planet, and the land was scattered. From afar, it looked like a blue ball of water. Planet Qing Ling. There were cultivators on the planet, but most of them weren't high. There were only 3 soul transformation cultivators. At this moment, at the top of the tallest mountain on planet Qing Ling, 3 soul transformation cultivators were respectfully standing before an old man. The old man was wearing a scholar's robe and didn't look like a cultivator. He looked more like a mortal scholar. He calmly sat on a stone platform at the top of the mountain. He had sat here for more than 800 years. All of this was because of a single sentence his teacher had said. "I've never had any disciples in my life. Your Tao is connected to mine, so I can accept you as an honorary disciple. I'll gift you this mountain to cultivate for a while. I won't teach you any spells, I'll only gift you enlightenment." The old man slowly opened his eyes. He didn't look at the 3 soul transformation cultivators before him, but silently looked at the clouds in the distance. "The 3 of you can leave. This planet belongs to Teacher. Before Teacher returns, no one can take a blade of grass, a tree, a mountain, or a river. But we are currently preparing for war. The Thunder Celestial Temple has given the order and will arrive in 3 days to take the planet. One of the 3 soul transformation cultivators looked anxious. Just as he was about to speak, the old man on the stone platform looked at him. Just one gaze caused the soul transformation cultivator's mind to tremble. He didn't dare to speak anymore. The 3 of them respectfully clasped their hands and left. The old man silently pondered as he looked at the layers of clouds in the sky. After a long time, faint sounds of thunder came from the sky. Not long after, bursts of wind howled, forming dark clouds that covered the sky and the sun. The sound of the rain coming from the distance got closer and closer. The rain came from the distance and slowly wrapped around the earth. The rain was very heavy and landed on the top of the mountain, creating a continuous sound of rain. Under this rain, the world became blurry. The wind was also very strong. The rain swept by the old man's body and wet his clothes, but it couldn't cover the old man's gaze as he looked at the sky and waited. A sigh seemed to be blown by the wind and entered the old man's ears. The old man's body trembled and his eyes were filled with excitement. "I remember, your name is Xieqing." Chapter 1481. Today, there is rain in the clouds, hanging over the mountain stream. An old friend has come. The raindrops fell on the ground and hit the mountain rocks, creating a pleasant sound. However, the rain was a bit too fast, and under the dense rain, it messed up the music, making it a bit annoying. Fortunately, there was a wind that blew the rain away, diluting the chaos and playing a song of heaven, earth, rain, mountains, and mountains. In the wind and rain, at the top of Hingyun Mountain, a person in white had appeared at some point. He silently stood at the top of the mountain and looked at the excited old man on the stone platform before him. He didn't stop the rain from soaking his clothes. He didn't do what he did when he comprehended how to summon the rain. Wang Lin just silently stood in the rain. He allowed the rain to soak his clothes and allow the chill to enter his body and wet his white hair. However, Wang Lin didn't look embarrassed at all. There was only an extremely natural scene, as if Wang Lin was this mountain, this land, this grass, and this tree. There was a smile on Wang Lin's face as he looked at the old man on the stone platform. "Teacher!" The old man stood up and excitedly knelt there. The rain fell on his face and flowed down the corners of his eyes, making it impossible to tell if it was real or not. After 800 years, Wang Lin returned to planet Qingling once more. He returned to the place where he once sought Tao and saw the honorary disciple he accepted back then. Xieqing was only a flash in Wang Lin's life. However, it was because of this person that Wang Lin's domain reached completion. This created a trace of karma that made him want to take Xieqing as his disciple. Even Wang Lin didn't expect this disciple created by a trace of karma to sit on Hengyun Mountain on planet Qingling for 800 years. During these 800 years of time, Xieqing had comprehended the domain Wang Lin had given him. Using his wisdom as a scholar, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. However, Xieqing had never cultivated any cultivation techniques or divine abilities. His path of cultivation was vastly different from all the other cultivators in the world, and even from Wang Lin. What Wang Lin cultivated was the fusion of his Tao and divine abilities. He used his divine abilities to slowly comprehend the concepts of the great Tao. Xieqing, on the other hand, had completely given up on techniques and only focused on conceptions. At this moment, Xieqing's physical body was extremely weak. A single flying sword was enough to take his life. His body seemed to be on the verge of exhaustion, but his vitality was boundless, causing his life to be indestructible. Although his fleshly body was weak, 800 years of comprehension had allowed Xieqing's state of mind to surpass everything an ordinary cultivator could cultivate for 800 years. In terms of Tao intent, not even Nirvana Scryer cultivators could match Xieqing. His domain had reached the Nirvana Cleanser stage and had reached the beginning of the Law stage. This was a cultivation method that did not exist in the world. It was similar to the ancient God clan's extreme body refining method. Xieqing only cultivated the realm. In fact, there was no nascent divinity or nascent soul inside of Xieqing. He had none of the internal divinities that a cultivator should have. The only thing he had was a soul filled with boundless vitality. Even Xieqing himself didn't know the reason. He didn't know any cultivation methods, so he could only silently comprehend for 800 years with the comprehension that Wang Lin had given him. Cultivating the soul. Wang Lin looked at Xieqing and silently pondered. Cultivators dream of becoming celestials and live forever. Cultivators search for their true self and become free and unfettered. Tao cultivators confirm their origin and become their own Tao. And soul cultivators use the soul as their life, the Lord of the heavens and the earth as their teacher. Wang Lin looked at the rain falling from the sky. The raindrops hit his face and felt cold as he slowly spoke. Xieqing knelt on the stone platform. His expression was one of confusion and ignorance. Perhaps it was because the rain was getting heavier and landing on his body. His wet clothes stuck to his body, making him uncomfortable. In his confusion, Xieqing subconsciously raised his right hand and formed a small spell that he had comprehended on his own. As his right hand formed a seal, the world suddenly changed. The direction of the rain at the top of Hengyun Mountain changed, as if it was being moved. Wang Lin shook his head and softly said, "You still haven't completely given up on all spells, Xieqing. Look at this mountain. When it was growing, did it ever stop the rain from falling? Look at the river and the ocean. When the rain fell, did it show any signs of rejection? Look at the grass and the trees. Everything. Aside from us, the spirits of all living things, did anyone stop the rain from falling?" Since you cultivate the soul, why do you care about this body? There is a saying in Taoism, return to simplicity. There are simply too few people in the world who can truly comprehend this. Even I, as your teacher, once thought I understood these 4 words. But after experiencing the past, when I returned to the Luo Tian, I had an epiphany. To return to simplicity is to integrate oneself into the grass, the trees, the mountains, and the rivers, to break away from the restrictions of all living things and become a part of the world. This is returning to simplicity. Xie Qing's body trembled, and he seemed to understand something. Wang Lin waved his right hand and Xie Qing's small spell dissipated. Without any obstruction, the rain began to fall once more, drenching the clouds. If you see yourself as a part of this world, if you become the sky and the earth, then this rain is actually like your invisible blood. Why do you have to stop them? Wind, rain, snow, thunder, and all the other things of nature, you are them, and they are you. What's the difference? What's the difference? 800 years have passed, and you still haven't completely understood the fortune I gave you back then. When you can abandon this body and forget all the spells you've learned, when only a wisp of your Tao soul is left, you can come and find me. Wang Lin looked at Xie Qing, who was pondering, and his right hand reached at the void. With this, the world changed colors and the clouds scattered. The dark clouds rumbled and the rain that covered a small portion of planet Qing Ling seemed to be cheering as it gathered from all directions. In the blink of an eye, the endless rain closed in like an ocean. At the top of Hing Yun Mountain, the rain fused together to form a giant rain sword that was 100,000 feet tall. With a wave of his hand, the rain sword descended from the sky and pierced nearly 30% of the peak of Hing Yun Mountain. The part that was exposed was about 60 to 70,000 feet high. Even from a great distance, one could clearly see the huge sword formed by the rain. A powerful pressure spread out from the rain sword. As it filled the world, it also spread out from planet Qing Ling. The moment the rain sword formed, Wang Lin's right hand pointed forward, and the ancient god stars between his eyebrows lit up. Ancient god power was injected into the rain sword. At the same time, the fire and thunder essences flew out from Wang Lin's eyes and fused with the rain sword. As a result, this simple rain sword contained 2 complete essences and Wang Lin's ancient battle aura. This aura didn't spread too far, but it was enough to shock the entire planet Luo Tian. With this sword here, very few people would dare to offend this planet. Wang Lin's voice was calm, but there was an indisputable tone to it. Even a spirit void cultivator would hesitate when facing this sword. Was it worth it to fight a cultivator who had almost completed their essences for a planet? The ancient pressure was even more shocking. Once you completely comprehend this sword, it will be teacher's gift to you as a disciple. Wang Lin looked at Xie Qing one last time before he turned around and left the mountain. His figure gradually became blurry as he disappeared into the distance. Xie Qing silently watched Wang Lin leave. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed 3 times. Today and the past, there was rain in the clouds, and the drops formed a sword. Old friends gradually drifted away. There was rain, a sun knelt. There was kindness. On planet Qingling, the chosen immortal clan had long moved away. There was no dust left, as if they had never been here. Wang Lin left. He returned to the Luo Tian planet. He had to go to 4 places and do 4 things. Right now he had finished the first place and the first thing. As he walked through the bright Luo Tian star system, Wang Lin's eyes gradually revealed a hint of coldness and killing intent. Xiang family ancestor. It's time to settle the matter from back then. Wang Lin waved his sleeves and flew toward the Xiang family planet that had caused him to lose all his vitality. Several hours after Wang Lin left, there was a group of dozens of cultivators 30 million kilometers away from planet Qingling. They were led by a middle-aged man wearing a thunder robe as they charged toward planet Qingling. They were the people of the Thunder Celestial Temple. They were ordered to find a planet that met the requirements of the Luotian ancestor to form the powerful star damage 7 Calamity formation. Planet Qingling met the requirements. After giving the order to forcibly move planet Qingling, this group of cultivators were ready to move planet Qingling. However, the instant they stepped into the 30 million mile radius of planet Qingling, they could clearly feel a monstrous sword intent spreading out like rain. This sword intent was powerful enough to collapse space itself. The expression of the middle-aged man in the thunder robe changed greatly when he was hit by this sword intent. He coughed out blood and was knocked back. The cultivators behind him all coughed out blood at the same time. Their eyes were filled with terror and they all retreated. Just as these dozens of cultivators were terrified by this sword intent, on planet Qingling, after Wang Lin left, the sky above Xieqing, who was cultivating, trembled and a person silently walked out. This person was an old man wearing a Taoist robe. It was Master Lu Fu. He didn't want to immediately face Wang Lin, so when he felt the rain sword's aura, he chose to come after Wang Lin left. He floated in the air and frowned. After pondering for a bit, he raised his right hand and pointed at the rain sword that was piercing the mountain. There was no sound when Master Lu Fu collided with the rain sword. His body trembled and he looked up with terror in his eyes. It's this aura. It's similar to an ancient god's but also completely different. Under this aura, the old man's heart skipped a beat. In addition, this sword actually has 2 essences. First update delivered. Asking for monthly votes. Chapter 1482. Master Lu Fu gasped and the shock in his eyes became even stronger. Although he had already guessed it, seeing it with his own eyes still shocked him. However, this shock soon dissipated. Master Lu Fu's eyes lit up and he revealed a sneer. Fortunately, he hasn't reached the 3rd step. As long as he hasn't reached the 3rd step, I don't believe he would dare to battle the old man. So what if he has 2 essences? He is merely a brute. If he doesn't provoke the old man, it won't matter. However, if he dares to provoke the old man will let him know what kind of existence an early-stage Nirvana Void cultivator is. As he let out a cold snort, Master Lu Fu stepped forward. From beginning to end, he didn't even look at Xieqing. In his eyes, all life in the world was an ant that wasn't worthy of him looking at. ####Planet Donglin, the most mysterious place in the Luotian star system. Back then, Wang Lin had heard many rumors about this planet. This planet didn't have a fixed position and slowly moved through the eastern domain of the Luotian star system. Even if one was at the peak of Nirvana Shatterer, it would be extremely difficult to find planet Donglin without a guide jade. Even if one's divine sense swept by, due to the strange structure of the planet, they wouldn't be able to find it. For most cultivators, they could only rely on their naked eyes to find it. However, this didn't include Wang Lin. At this moment, in the vast eastern domain of the Luotian star system, there was a shocking planet slowly moving. Among the stars, one could vaguely see that there were potholes on the planet that gave off a dark yellow glow. A powerful pressure spread out across the star system. Planet Donglin. This planet wasn't alone. There were dozens of small planets around it, and they slowly rotated. They moved along with planet Donglin. Formation lights flickered in the surroundings, connecting the dozens of small planets to planet Donglin. From a distance it looked like a huge net of stars. At this moment, all of the formations on planet Donglin were activated, causing the net of stars to continuously ring out. Bang! 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 He could faintly see sword light flashing on the dozens of smaller planets around planet Dongling. Many cultivators were quickly getting into formation to form more restrictions and strengthen planet Dongling's defenses. The tense atmosphere could be clearly felt from the gloomy faces of the thousands of cultivators. None of the cultivators said a word. They all lined up in formation and slowly began to activate the spell formations on the dozens of planets. There were 3 elders sitting at the center of the formation. There were close to 100 of them, and each of them gave off an ancient aura. It was obvious that they had lived for a very long time and would not come out easily. But at this moment, they had no choice but to appear. Because the representative of the Xiang family, Xiang Yundong, had brought back a piece of shocking news that shocked the entire Xiang family. Wang Lin, who had his vitality taken by the ancestor, had returned with a cultivation that even Master Lu Fu dreaded. This news shocked the entire Xiang family. After a moment of silence, the current head of the Xiang family and the head elder immediately issued the Dong Lin blood order. The Xiang family was the secret overlord of planet Dong Lin and rarely appeared. Even many Luo Tian cultivators didn't know about it. Everyone only knew that planet Dong Lin had 3 great families: Su, Lu, Lu. In particular, the Su family had many killing gods and was infamous. In the Luo Tian star system, just mentioning it would cause one's heart to tremble. There was also the Lu family. Although they weren't as famous as the Su family, they were very good at restriction technique. Although they weren't as famous as the Xiang family, which had inherited the 4 great restriction techniques, like the Li Yuan family, which had declined over the years, the Lu family had many talented people, and their attainments in restriction techniques were extremely profound. All of the restrictions on planet Dong Lin were set up by the Lu family. Finally, the Lu family was famous for creating treasures and spells. In particular, their 9-life blood sunflower spell was a heaven-shaking spell that combined spells and treasures. Rumor had it that this spell had only been used once since it was created. However, when it was used that time, it destroyed all of the eastern Luo Tian star system. It was as if the world was going to end. These 3 great families constantly fought against each other. They used this cruel method to maintain the vitality of their families and continue to grow stronger. However, in truth, only a few old monsters in the Luo Tian star system knew that the Su, Lu, and Lu families were all branches of the Xiang family. The Xiang family could be said to be the most powerful family in the all-heaven star system that had existed since ancient times. Even in the Luo Tian star system, the Xiang family was enough to fight against the Thunder Celestial Temple, and the Thunder Celestial Temple was likely at a disadvantage. Of course, the premise was that Master Lu Fu wasn't included. The Xiang family was like a sleeping behemoth. It didn't move, but once it awakened, it would shake the Luo Tian star system. As a result, even though Xiang Yundong's cultivation level wasn't high enough, he was still chosen by Master Lu Fu to be one of the 4 disciples to teach Dao spells to. Each of the 4 disciples chosen by Master Lu Fu had their own meaning. Whether it was Blood God, Li Yunzi, or Master Flamespark, they were all the same. There was also a rumor among the old monsters in the Luo Tian star system. This rumor was related to the Xiang family, but it was impossible to verify whether it was true or false. Perhaps only Master Lu Fu knew the truth of this rumor. Rumor had it that the most mysterious cultivation family in the Luo Tian star system had a trace of connection with the Xiang family. The meaning of the rumor was that the Xiang family was a branch of the mysterious ancient cultivation family that very few people knew. The Xiang family's existence was only to guard the gate of this ancient family. The ancient cultivation family had existed for a long time before the collapse of the celestial realm. They had lived through countless ancient times and had continued for tens of thousands of years. The accumulation and strength of this family was unimaginable. They were even more mysterious. It was rare for someone to appear on the Luo Tian star system in 10,000 years. Even when Wang Lin was in the Luo Tian star system, even when he was pushed by Master Lu Fu, the mysterious ancient family only sent out 1 order and 1 person during the war between the Luo Tian star system and the Alliance star system. The order was to bestow the title of a true celestial, and the person sent out was the 9th elder, Yi Muzi, who stole the moonlight from Wang Yu. The entire planet Donglin was mobilized by the Xiang family's blood order, and layers of protection were set up. At this moment, in the far west of planet Donglin, the earth was dark red. It was as if it had been soaked in blood for tens of thousands of years. It gave off a bloody aura that lingered for a long time when the wind blew by. Perhaps it was because the smell of blood was too strong, but everything here was filled with a tyrannical aura. In the far west, there was an endless stretch of unmarked graves. On the ground, there were countless severed limbs, ghastly white bones, and the rotting flesh on the bones, attracting many vultures to circle in the sky. There were even some vultures standing on the white bones, pecking at the rotten flesh. The entire far west was filled with monstrous death aura. From a distance, this place looked like a giant, invisible vortex filled with death aura. Any cultivator that came here couldn't help but be shaken. Countless mournful souls echoed in the far west, letting out silent cries of resentment. Wang Lin had come here before. This was where the only remaining ancestor of the Xiang family spent most of his time in closed-door cultivation. The deeper one looked, the darker the ground became. It was impossible for life to exist here. Even the Xiang family members wouldn't dare to come here unless there was something important. Every time they came, their life force would be sucked away by the earth. When they left, they would be extremely weak and would need to find a place to cultivate. Right now, there were two old men in black with gloomy expressions walking over from the distance. The two of them stopped in the depths of the far west. One of the old men respectfully clasped his hands at the black earth and said, "Ancestor, everything has been set up according to your orders. We're just waiting for Wang Lin to arrive." The old man's voice penetrated the ground and reverberated deep underground. Gradually, it landed at the bottom of the land in a large, hollow space. At a glance, there was no end to this space. There was only an endless sea of human heads. The death aura here was countless times denser than the outside world, and it surrounded the area. At the center of this sea of human heads was a tower of human heads, and there was a coffin on top of it. The coffin was yellow in color, and there were some festering spots around it. Thick yellow liquid oozed out from the festering spots and flowed down the coffin, dripping onto the heads of the people below, making a sizzling sound. The voice of the black-robed old man on the ground seemed to be affected by the death aura and became much weaker. After a brief moment of silence, a hoarse voice slowly came from the coffin. "This child's life force was very good, very good. It made me think about it for a long time. He was indeed fortunate. Back then, he lost all his life force, but he didn't die. All of you can leave." Master Lu Fu's words were a bit exaggerated. This child hasn't reached that level yet. The reason Master Lu Fu said this was because he wanted Wang Lin to test a guess he had in his heart. "This matter is not a problem." The earth trembled and the hoarse voice of the person inside the coffin echoed. Hearing the ancestor's words, the two old men in black let out sighs of relief. They had been shocked by the news Xiang Yundong had brought back and felt like a disaster was about to befall them. At this moment, their hearts were calm. In their eyes, the ancestor was the sky of the Xiang family. If the ancestor said it was not a problem, then there would never be a problem. However, none of them, including the Xiang family ancestor inside the coffin, noticed that a figure in white had arrived outside planet Donglin. Wang Lin had arrived. Looking at planet Dongling and the dozens of smaller planets around it, Wang Lin felt like he had returned to the past. He was accompanied by Qing Shui and Xiang Yundong when they first came here with hope in their hearts. Gradually, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a monstrous coldness. Chapter 1483. This matter is not a problem. These four simple words revealed an ancient sense of confidence. However, when this confident person said these words, he didn't know that Wang Lin had already arrived. If he knew all of this, perhaps he wouldn't be able to say these four simple words. Wang Lin stood hundreds of thousands of feet away from planet Donglin and looked at the planet several times larger than planet Tianyun. The killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. Back then, he was filled with hope of reviving Li Muan. He came to the inner realm from the Alliance and fought his way through. Finally, he obtained the title of Thunder Celestial and a promise from the ancient cultivation family, the Xiang family. Back then, Wang Lin had no intention of becoming enemies with the powerful Xiang family. He just wanted to awaken Li Muan. With hope, he came to planet Donglin with Xiang Yundong leading the way to meet the Xiang family ancestor. However, the despicable and insidious ancestor had not only failed to awaken Li Muan, he had taken away all of Wang Lin's vitality. If not for the finger of death, Wang Lin would have already lost his vitality and died. Now, as Wang Lin's cultivation level became stronger and he learned of the difficulty of reviving Li Muan, he recalled what had happened. Everything the Xiang family ancestor had said was false. He didn't have the ability to revive Li Muan, not even the Qi Shi spell. If not for the heaven-avoiding coffin, Li Muan's hope of reviving would have been completely destroyed. The so-called Qi Shi spell was, in Wang Lin's eyes, one of the main reasons why Li Muan's soul was destroyed. The Xiang family ancestor simply wanted to kill Li Muan while stealing his vitality. Wang Lin's idea of injecting vitality into Li Muan was correct. If the vitality was injected correctly, Li Muan might not be in such a difficult situation right now. No one knew when she would wake up, and it might even be possible for her to resurrect. However, the Xiang family's sinister actions had destroyed everything. At that time, Wang Lin didn't fully understand all of this due to his cultivation. However, as time passed and thousands of years later, Wang Lin could clearly see the past. His hatred was monstrous. From the very beginning, he knew all of this very well. Wang Lin really wanted to know why all this was happening. Why did the Xiang clan's ancestor deceive him and take away all his vitality in the name of resurrecting Li Muan? There must be a reason for all of this. In the past, Wang Lin had fled in a sorry state. He didn't have the qualifications to ask why, and he didn't have the qualifications to resist all of this. He could only endure. He continued to endure, burying the humiliation and hatred deep in his heart. Just like how he had endured facing the Ting family for hundreds of years. However, today was the second time Wang Lin had seen planet Donglin. He now had the qualifications to know everything. The killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes became stronger and he stepped forward. With this step, the star system trembled and he crossed hundreds of thousands of feet with one step. As the thunderous rumble echoed, Wang Lin suddenly appeared 10,000 feet away from planet Donglin. The star system trembled and ripples spread out like waves with Wang Lin as the center. It was as if a storm was being set off and continued to spread. It was as if his step had stepped on the pulse of the star system and turned into a thunderous roar that shook all of planet Donglin. The expressions of the thousands of cultivators on the smaller planets around planet Donglin changed greatly. They clearly felt a powerful impact come from the star system and smash into the restriction around planet Donglin. The light from the restriction was shocking. It flickered violently and shined brightly like a sun. Thump, 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 thump. At that instant, all the cultivators on the dozens of small planets could hear their hearts beating madly. It was as if there was a powerful force rushing into their bodies, causing them to rapidly circulate their origin energy. It was as if their bodies would collapse under the tremors of the galaxy if they didn't do this. Standing outside planet Donglin, Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning. The moment he appeared, he calmly said one sentence. "You know who I am. Get the hell out here, Wang." The moment these words came out of Wang Lin's mouth, they set off a monstrous echo. "Get the hell out here. Get the hell out here. Get the hell out here." These words vented the anger that Wang Lin had hidden for 1,000 years. These words exploded out the hatred that Wang Lin felt toward the Xiang family for stealing his life. This sentence contained the despair he felt when he brought Li Muan here with high hopes, only to be deceived instead. You can steal my life in battle, you can hunt me down like the Yao family, but you deceived me when I was looking forward to it the most. You cut off Li Muan's hope of recovery. Not only did you scheme against me, but you also schemed against a weak woman who had already died. This kind of thing was unacceptable to Wang Lin. Unacceptable. The echoes echoed like crazy across the star system like thunder. It suppressed all the sound of Wang Lin's step and turned into a roar that was several times louder. It was heaven shaking. The entire star system was filled with thunder because of these words. Bolts of thunder moved across the star system, and in the blink of an eye, the endless star system around planet Donglin became a thunder hell. The sound wave from this sentence seemed to be able to shatter the star system and collapse the world. It spread out like crazy, and it was like the roar of an ancient god. The storm formed by Wang Lin's step was nothing. At this moment, a storm countless times more powerful replaced everything. It carried Wang Lin's anger, Wang Lin's hatred, and the question he had been waiting for 1,000 years. The restrictions on the dozens of small planets around planet Donglin flashed rapidly, but 9 of the planets suddenly collapsed under this roar. The thunderous rumbles were heaven-shaking and spread across the eastern star system of the Luo Tian. The 9 planets collapsed and all the cultivators guarding them died. Even the 27 old men controlling the formations on the 9 planets couldn't resist at all. They were filled with terror and shock, as if they had been wiped by an invisible hand and died. They didn't even have the right to escape before Wang Lin's roar. The thousands of cultivators on the smaller planets around planet Dongling all coughed out blood. It was as if the restriction was preventing the roar from entering, but the shock waves still entered. This caused the hearts of these cultivators to tremble, and an irresistible sense of fear rose in their hearts. As this roar echoed, planet Dongling trembled. Cracking sounds came from the ground and countless cracks appeared. Countless mountains collapsed into rubble and rivers flowed in reverse. There was also the sea to the north of planet Dongling. The waves went crazy and formed a giant vortex. The moment the roar entered the sea, it turned into a shock wave that went deep into the sea. It pushed the sea forward and formed a tsunami that was 10,000 feet tall that submerged the land. The seawater rushed toward the land to completely cover the land. In the western part of planet Donglin, the 2 old men in black had just relaxed when they heard the heaven-shaking roar. Their bodies trembled violently as if they had been hit by a powerful force. They were knocked back 1,000 feet and coughed out blood. One of them's body collapsed and his flesh and blood fell on the dark red earth. In the sea of human heads deep underground, Wang Lin's roar echoed. The earth trembled as if 2 giant hands had split it open, and in the blink of an eye, a gully appeared. More than half of the human heads in this space exploded. Even the death aura that had filled this space for tens of thousands of years was pushed back, as if it didn't dare to waste any time. The earth-yellow coffin trembled, and the lid was smashed into the wall behind it, shattering into pieces. A roar came from the coffin without the lid. At the same time, a dried-up right hand reached out from the coffin and grabbed the coffin beside it. On the ground, the old man in black that had coughed out blood revealed indescribable fear in his eyes. He didn't hesitate as his right hand formed a seal and a black jade appeared in his hand. Set up the formation. Stop this person from entering planet Donglin at all costs. Powerful auras rushed out from planet Donglin and occupied the north, south, and east directions. A large amount of cultivators gathered. If one looked from the sky, there were no less than tens of thousands of cultivators on planet Donglin. In the north, where the Lu family was, there were tens of thousands of cultivators sitting on the ground, forming a large restriction formation. There were also dozens of old men sitting in midair. As they quickly formed seals with their hands, they coughed up blood. Their blood gathered together and turned into a bloody figure. In the south, where the Su family was, there were also tens of thousands of cultivators around them. At the center of the blood pool was a 10,000-foot blood pool. There was a powerful killing intent coming out from the blood pool. The tens of thousands of cultivators all had serious expressions as they walked into the blood pool. In the east, where the Liu family resided, there were groups of 7 cultivators, occupying an area of several thousand kilometers. Beside each group of cultivators was a magic treasure that was several hundred feet tall. These magic treasures looked different, but all of them emitted a yellow glow. As a result, if one looked down from the sky, they would see that the Liu family cultivators in the east had formed a giant sunflower pattern. At the same time, the remaining dozens of small planets around planet Dongling began to rapidly rotate. They rotated around planet Dongling at an extremely fast speed, forming a giant vortex that surrounded planet Dongling. Wang Lin coldly looked at everything before him. His eyes lit up and he stepped forward. "Since you don't want to scram out, then I'll let Wang drag you out. Anyone who dares to block me will be buried with me. The 3rd chapter has been delivered and I'm working hard on the 4th chapter. I'm asking for monthly votes." Chapter 1484. Just as Wang Lin stepped forward, orders came from the Liu family on planet Donglin. Formation Sky Screen. Restriction Devil Celestial. Formation Restriction 8 Directions. As orders were given, the thousands of cultivators in the dozens of smaller planets around planet Dongling all formed seals. Layers of light surrounded the planet. In a flash, there were 1,000 layers, 10,000 layers, 100,000 layers, 1,000,000 layers, 10,000,000 layers, until it reached 99,990,000 layers. The light from the light screen could penetrate the stars and spread like crazy. It covered the entire eastern part of the Luotian star system. Even people in the other 3 star systems could clearly see the powerful light coming from the east. The entire Luotian star system was in an uproar. Groups of cultivators pulling planets, families, and armies of cultivators all felt the powerful light coming from the eastern part of the Luotian star system. Although they couldn't see what was happening in the distance, they could see the light coming from the endless distance. In the Luotian star system, far away from planet Donglin, the entire Luotian star system was preparing for war. This was the center of the formation formed by more than 600 planets. Inside the vortex, Master Lu Fu's eyes were like lightning as he looked into the distance. Beside him, Master Flamespark, Blood God, and Li Yunzi's faces were pale. They felt the endless light coming from planet Donglin. Planet Donglin's formation came from ancient times, and rumor has it that the Liu family has raised the formation spirit for tens of thousands of years. Once it is activated and the formation spirit enters, its power will be shocking. I wonder if that Wang Lin can break it. I don't know how this person's cultivation has reached such a terrifying degree, but even so, it will take some time to break the formation on planet Donglin. If it was me, how many breaths would it take to break the formation? Master Lu Fu still looked into the distance. He already had an answer in his heart. 20 breaths is enough. I want to see how long this Wang Lin can take to break it. More than 90 million rays of light appeared, forming a powerful formation that even Master Lu Fu would need 20 breaths of time to break. This kind of formation was the limit of a second step spell. Even someone at the 5th Heaven's Blight couldn't break this formation by themselves. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as he coldly stared at the light screen. The light screen instantly rose to an extremely powerful level, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Only then will it be interesting. However, this level is still not enough. Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at the sky. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the 7 ancient god stars between his eyebrows rotated. A powerful ancient god aura, or rather, ancient Tao aura, erupted from Wang Lin's body. The moment this aura appeared, it caused space itself to distort and countless rifts appeared. It was as if space itself couldn't withstand this ancient aura. Ancient order, an existence even more powerful than ancient gods. Even the ancient gods were separated from the ancient Tao. The moment this aura spread out, a giant shadow appeared behind Wang Lin. This shadow was blurry. It was only a head without a left eye. This head was very large, and the moment it appeared, it covered the entire star system. Waves of pressure spread out and filled the entire eastern part of the Luo Tian star system. The moment this aura appeared, all the cultivators in the Luo Tian star system were terrified. It was as if they had encountered an existence beyond their understanding. Inside the star formation, Master Lu Fu's pupils shrank when he saw the giant head, and disbelief appeared in his eyes. This is. What is this? Ancient god? Ancient demon? Ancient devil? The existence of the ancient order was not something anyone knew about. This was the first time Master Lu Fu had seen it. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he raised his right hand and slowly formed a fist. The moment he lowered his hand, he gently threw a punch at the more than 90 million layers of light. God tremble! Space itself trembled. As Wang Lin's punch landed, an illusory fist appeared. This illusory fist was hundreds of thousands of feet wide, and the 5 fingers formed a fist as it flew forward. In the blink of an eye, the giant illusory fist collided with the more than 90 million layers of light. The light screen rumbled, and at the moment the fist landed, the light screen flashed rapidly. Thunderous rumbles shook the world and turned into roars that spread throughout the star system. The light screen didn't have any ability to resist and began to collapse layer by layer. More than 90 million, 80 million, 60 million, 30 million. It was as if the fist had struck the surface of the water. As it continued to collapse and disintegrate, the great formation that had been passed down from ancient times collapsed with a loud rumble. It continued to shatter, and in just a breath's time, the formation completely exploded. It was unable to stop the illusory fist from descending. The fist pierced through the light screen and shattered more than 90 million layers. The formation was torn apart and countless fragments were pushed back, revealing the vortex formed by the dozens of planets. The vortex was hit by the fragments and popping sounds echoed. Large amounts of cracks appeared on the dozens of planets as if they were going to collapse. However, this wasn't the end. Wang Lin's God Tremble punch was a heaven-shattering blow from a 7-star ancient god with the ancient order inheritance. The light screen was like a piece of paper that was blown apart by the punch. Not even 1/10 of the punch's power had been neutralized. A 7-star ancient god could battle a 3rd-step cultivator with just the power of their bodies. How could this small planet Dong Lin resist? As a thunderous rumble echoed, the illusory fist collided with the vortex around planet Dong Ling. A thunderous rumble echoed and the vortex was shattered by this punch. It directly exploded. The dozens of planets that formed the vortex trembled, and more than a dozen of them collapsed. Cracks appeared on the planets, and the edges of the planets showed signs of cracking. In an instant, the planets all shattered into pieces. The bodies and origin souls of the cultivators on the planets were torn apart. The powerful old men maintaining the formation couldn't escape this calamity. Their existences were erased and they disintegrated along with the planets. Wang Lin's phantom punch that was hundreds of thousands of feet large charged into the vortex and smashed toward planet Dong Lin. As the fist moved forward, the remaining dozens of planets smashed toward it. However, the moment they touched the fist, they all collapsed. Seeing that Wang Lin's fist was about to land on planet Dong Lin, a mournful scream came from the Lu family cultivators in the northern part of planet Dong Lin. They all coughed out blood. Their blood entered the bodies of the dozens of old men in the middle, causing their bodies to swell up. In an instant, these dozens of old men were like balls of blood. Their clothes were torn open and large amounts of blood vessels could be seen under their skin. Sacrifice the blood shadow, condense the formation's spirit. As the roars echoed, the dozens of old men exploded and turned into a large amount of blood mist that gathered at the center. blood light shot into the sky, and a roar came from within the blood mist. Shortly after, a blood shadow charged out and charged into the sky. The blood shadow's body was blurry and it was impossible to see its appearance clearly. However, the aura of a restriction came from its body like crazy. At this moment, the northern part of planet Donglin was dark and all the light was replaced by a giant fist. It was Wang Lin's fist, and it had already descended on planet Donglin. Under the fist, the blood shadow charged straight at the fist. In an instant, the blood shadow closed in and let out a heaven-shaking scream. It collided with Wang Lin's punch. The violent sound echoed across planet Donglin and couldn't be stopped. It passed by Wang Lin and spread across the entire eastern part of the Luo Tian planet. However, before the sound dissipated, the blood shadow exploded into a rain of blood that fell from the sky. Before the blood rain could fall, Wang Lin's punch was even faster than the blood rain. It descended from the sky and smashed into the northern part of planet Donglin. The entire planet Donglin trembled and the northern part of the planet collapsed layer by layer. The nearly 10,000 cultivators on the ground all died, and a giant pit hundreds of thousands of feet wide appeared. The sky was so big that it reached 60% of the bottom of planet Donglin. The pit was pitch black and gave off a thick stench of blood. Planet Donglin didn't explode from the violent tremors, but it caused an even more powerful tsunami. The seawater was shaken off the ground and rose into the air. A large portion of it fell into the pit in the north, and the rest fell like rain on planet Donglin. Soon, the sinkhole created by Wang Lin's punch was filled with seawater. Looking down from the sky, the surroundings of the sinkhole were very clear. It was as if a mortal had punched mud. It looked exactly the same as a mortal punching mud. 8 breaths. From the moment Wang Lin threw that punch, the formation collapsed, all the small planets exploded, and the Lu family in the northern part of planet Donglin was buried. A giant crater appeared on the ground. All of this happened in just 8 breaths of time. Master Lu Fu suddenly stood up from the vortex and his eyes were filled with shock. He found that he had made a huge mistake in his analysis of Wang Lin. He hasn't even reached the 3rd step, but just the power of one punch is already so terrifying. 8 breaths. 8 breaths. Master Lu Fu gasped. He immediately overturned the judgment he had made when he saw the rain sword. In his heart, he had raised Wang Lin's position to the same level as his own. The eruption of 4 breaths was just for everyone to enjoy. Chapter 1485. The entire planet Donglin was covered in the ocean rain. The rainwater fell from the sky and formed rivers that slowly spread out. The power of one punch caused all the mountains on planet Donglin to shatter. The cracks on the ground became rivers for the sea water to flow in. The collapse of the northern region and the appearance of the sinkhole made the sea rain wet everything like the tears of Donglin. The ancient god's punch didn't just shake the earth, it also shook the hearts of the people. The nearly 10,000 cultivators of the Su clan in the south were completely shaken. Their eyes filled with unprecedented terror and hopelessness as they stared in shock. They were all stunned, including the Su family's family head and many elders. What kind of cultivation level is this? Even the ancient formation can't stop it. All the cultivation planets collapsed, and even planet Donglin, which has existed for countless years, was shaken by this punch. This punch had exceeded their imagination. Or it could be said that it shouldn't exist in this world. This was already within the realm of a 3rd step cultivator. In the eastern part of the Lu family, the groups of nearly 10,000 cultivators also witnessed the scene of the Lu family being destroyed as the ground trembled. All of them silently pondered, can planet Donglin withstand another punch like this? In the far west of planet Dongling, all the members of the Xiang family stood outside of their ancestors' closed-door cultivation site. They stared at the sky in a daze and allowed the rain to fall on their bodies. Terror that shook their souls appeared in their hearts. Xiang Yundong's face was filled with bitterness as he stared at all of this, unable to say a word. What happened just now was simply too shocking and beyond everyone's imagination. Facing such a powerful existence, how could they resist? How could they stop it? In the Eastern Lu family, the nearly 10,000 cultivators all looked west along with the gazes of the family head and elders. It was the same with the Su clan in the south. All eyes were focused on the far west, including the members of the Xiang clan. It was hard to say who was the first to look in the direction of the patriarch's secluded meditation facilities, but soon all of the members of the Xiang clan were looking over. They were waiting for the words of the patriarch to fight or to surrender. However, they didn't hear any words from the patriarch of the Far West clan. Instead, a figure in snow-white robes appeared in the rain. Planet Dong Lin lost all of its defenses to Wang Lin. He slowly walked up into the sky, and his gaze was like lightning as it coldly swept toward the far west. "Why don't you get out of that coffin?" Wang Lin said calmly. His words did not contain the power of thunder, but they were clearly heard by all of the cultivators down below. His simple words caused all of the cultivators present to feel an incredible pressure. "Fight to the death!" A hoarse roar echoed out from the secluded meditation grounds of the Xiang clan's patriarch in the far west. This voice was filled with endless terror and madness. As soon as he said this, the eyes of all the members of the Xiang clan turned bloodshot, and they roared as they shot into the air toward Wang Lin. Their expressions were filled with madness, as if their minds had been wiped away by that one sentence, leaving behind only reckless killing intent. There was also the Su family in the south. The nearly 10,000 cultivators went crazy and flew into the air as if they had lost their minds. As for the Lu family in the east, the nearly 10,000 cultivators quickly used their giant magic treasures. In an instant, monstrous light shot out like silver snakes toward Wang Lin. At the same time, after the Lu family members used their treasures, they all sat down cross-legged. Their hands formed seals, and the sound of incantations started buzzing. Blood Sunflower Spell. The roars of nearly 10,000 cultivators turned into a loud sound that rushed into the sky. Then, a strange floral fragrance spread out from the bodies of nearly 10,000 cultivators. As the fragrance of the flowers appeared, a huge yellow sunflower suddenly appeared on the ground. The sunflower suddenly turned golden, but the center was pitch black. Countless particles could be vaguely seen, like seeds. However, under Wang Lin's gaze, he could clearly see that these grains were the heads of the nearly 10,000 cultivators. At this moment, as the chanting became more and more intense, lines of blood appeared on the necks of the nearly 10,000 cultivators. In an instant, the lines of blood flashed and the 10,000 heads were cut off. Large amounts of blood sprayed out and fused with the chanting to form a heaven-shaking force. The giant sunflower that was hundreds of thousands of feet large suddenly erupted with a strange golden and bloody light. It charged out from the ground and closed in on Wang Lin. From afar, it looked like a pillar of light hundreds of thousands of feet wide had erupted from the ground and was charging at Wang Lin. A power that could destroy heaven and earth rapidly spread out from the pillar of light. A faint, headless figure appeared within the pillar of light. This figure was clad in armor and held a long spear in its hand as it dashed through the pillar of light. This power had exceeded the limit of a fifth heaven's blight cultivator and was infinitely close to the Joss Flame spell of a third-step cultivator. It could even be said that the aura inside the pillar of light was infinitely comparable to the attack of an early-stage Nirvana Void cultivator. All of this was because of the headless figure inside the pillar of light. Wang Lin suddenly turned around and his gaze swept by like lightning. The moment the pillar of light closed in, he saw the headless figure inside. The pillar of light was too fast and was less than 30 feet from Wang Lin. It seemed like it wasn't going to give Wang Lin any chance to dodge. Wang Lin didn't intend to dodge. His eyes lit up and he raised his right hand. As the pillar of light closed in, he pressed down. A thunderous rumble echoed across planet Dongling and spread out in all directions. The pillar of light collided with the right hand. The tip of the long spear in the hand of the headless person collided with Wang Lin's palm. Thunderous rumbles echoed and Wang Lin's white hair was blown back by the wind. His clothes were pulled back as if they were going to be torn from his body. However, Wang Lin's body didn't move at all. Even his expression didn't change at all. With just one palm, he had blocked the attack that was close to the power of a third-step Nirvana Void cultivator. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the world seemed to be torn apart. A giant gully appeared on the earth below Wang Lin. This gully continued to extend, and in an instant, it penetrated the earth of planet Dongling. This caused the eastern part of planet Dongling to be split apart. If one looked from afar, they would clearly see that the eastern part of planet Dongling, which had almost been pierced, split open. A powerful force pushed the eastern part of planet Dongling away like a giant fragment of a planet. It carried the corpses of the cultivators that had died to the blood flower spell and flew away. Planet Dongling suddenly became incomplete and began to collapse on a large scale. The pillar of light disappeared, and the headless figure also dissipated. Wang Lin didn't retreat even half a step. Only when the pillar of light disappeared did he slowly withdraw his right hand. Such a spell! Destroying it is a pity. When the pillar of light dissipated and the eastern part of planet Dongling was split open, the Xiang family ancestors' order to fight to the death caused all the cultivators on planet Dongling to go crazy. They all charged at Wang Lin. Their eyes were red, as if they wouldn't give up until they killed Wang Lin. I, Wang Lin, have killed many people in my life. I don't mind killing people. Although I don't know why you sent them to their deaths, I can fulfill your wish. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he faced the tens of thousands of cultivators charging at him. He raised his right hand and gently waved. The moment he waved, a 9-colored flame appeared in Wang Lin's left eye. With a wave of his right hand, the 9-colored flame swept across the world. Ethereal fire cultivators were good at group battles. With a wave of his hand, ethereal fire burst out from the bodies of the cultivators that were closing in. They let out miserable screams as they were turned into black ashes. No one was an exception. In a flash, Wang Lin was like a burning candle, and these crazed cultivators were like moths that died to the fire. As the sea of fire spread out, the rain on planet Dongling turned into white gas and covered the sky. Wang Lin walked toward the far west, toward the place where the Xiang family ancestor had forcibly taken his life force, the place where the Xiang family ancestor had gone into closed-door cultivation. As Wang Lin moved forward, miserable screams echoed across the planet. All the cultivators that got close were burned to ashes. No one could stop Wang Lin. As he closed in, Wang Lin stepped into the far west. Before him was the ravine that extended to the Xiang family ancestor's coffin. Wang Lin stepped forward and entered the gully. Just as Wang Lin entered, a roar came from the yellow coffin and a large amount of yellow, viscous liquid sprayed out from the coffin. It formed a wave of liquid that shot toward Wang Lin. A rotting stench and dense death aura formed a storm that closed in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was still calm. As the storm closed in, he waved his sleeves and the storm collapsed. The yellow liquid splattered everywhere and sizzled when it landed on the surrounding rocks. At the same time, the withered right hand that was grabbing onto the wooden plank next to it fiercely exerted force, and a hoarse voice that was filled with heavy panting came out from the coffin. The ancient decree says that whoever destroys planet Dongling will be punished for 9 generations. As the voice echoed, the terrifying body of the Xiang family ancestor struggled to sit up from the coffin. Chapter 1486. His skinny body was covered in rotting flesh, and his entire body seemed to have no skin, leaving only faintly blackened flesh. He no longer looked like a human, but more like a corpse that had been dead for countless years and had yet to completely rot. On the Xiang family patriarch's body, there were still veins and blood vessels squirming in his flesh, as if they were struggling to survive. Only a fist-sized dark red heart could be seen at his chest, which was connected to his heart by a large number of blood vessels. This heart was beating, but what it gave off wasn't vitality, but a powerful death aura. His blood-red eyes stared at Wang Lin. His eyes were filled with anger and a trace of fear that couldn't be hidden. A powerful aura of a fifth heaven's blight cultivator spread out from the Xiang family ancestor's body and formed a giant cyclone around him. This cyclone contained the death aura and countless ghostly wails. It was as if the cyclone contained countless mournful souls that were roaring at Wang Lin. However, before Wang Lin, even though the old man had erupted with his fifth heaven's blight cultivation, he was still too weak to withstand a single blow. Ignoring the death vortex formed by the Xiang family ancestors' fifth heaven's blight cultivation, Wang Lin descended from the gully and entered the vortex created by the Xiang family ancestor. The moment he entered, the cyclone was pushed back as if it didn't dare to get close to Wang Lin and was being forcefully pushed away. Seeing Wang Lin close in, the fear in the Xiang family ancestor's eyes became even stronger. He pointed at his heart and a roar came from his mouth. With a point of his finger, the death aura around the Xiang family ancestor suddenly reversed. He had used the Qi Shi spell. He was using the Qi Shi spell to forcibly turn the death aura into vitality. His rotting body was rapidly recovering. However, before he could use the Qi Shi spell, Wang Lin was less than 30 feet from the Xiang family ancestor. The moment he closed in, Wang Lin casually pointed forward. Popping sounds echoed as the Xiang family ancestor's arms collapsed into a pile of rotten flesh. Intense pain filled his body, and he quickly retreated away from the coffin. However, before he could retreat a few dozen feet, he pointed a second time under Wang Lin's cold gaze. All of this happened in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the Xiang family ancestor's body that had lost all 4 limbs was grabbed by Wang Lin. All of this happened in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the Xiang family ancestor's body that had lost all 4 limbs was grabbed by Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't waste any time asking questions. The origin energy inside his body surged, and he used the soul search spell to find the answer he wanted to know. "You dare to kill me? My Xiang family is a branch of the ancient Donglin family, and the old man is a branch family member of the Donglin family. Old man Donglin Tai, you dare to kill me?" The Xiang family ancestor's eyes were filled with fear and madness. The moment Wang Lin began to search his soul, he let out a shrill roar. "You destroyed planet Donglin and slaughtered tens of thousands of people on this planet. Your actions have violated the edict of the Donglin family. You will die a horrible death. Not only will you die, but all your friends and family will die as well. You dare to kill me? Noisy!" Wang Lin's expression was calm. The moment he spoke, a powerful force rushed into the Xiang family ancestor's body. His body collapsed and he was knocked back. The only thing in Wang Lin's hand was the Xiang family ancestor's head, and he continued to search his soul. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. As he continued to search the soul of the Xiang family ancestor, he looked up at the sky outside the ravine. Rays of golden light suddenly appeared in the sky and rapidly spread in all directions. In the blink of an eye, a golden door appeared in the sky. There were 2 ancient words on the golden door. These 2 words were a family name. It was a family name that had existed in the Luo Tian star system for far too long. It had existed even before the 4 star systems were one. Donglin. The moment the door appeared, a powerful pressure spread out from it. The door slowly opened under Wang Lin's gaze. As it opened, a golden light rushed out and a giant golden figure tens of thousands of feet tall stepped out from the door. This figure was golden, and at a glance it was a golden armored giant. Its body was extremely solid, as if it really existed. "You destroyed planet Donglin and committed the crime of death by 1,000 cut. You slaughtered the cultivators of this planet and committed the crime of destroying your soul. You injured members of my Donglin family and committed a monstrous crime. These 3 crimes combined will result in the death of your entire family. As the golden-armored giant roared, the golden-armored giant raised his right hand. There was a flash of golden light and a giant sword 10,000 feet long appeared. It smashed down on Wang Lin, who was in the gully. If I want to kill, then I want to kill. Why are you so long-winded? Today, Wang will kill anyone who dares to stop him. Wang Lin's right hand squeezed and the Xiang family ancestor's head exploded. Wang Lin jumped into the air, and as the golden sword descended, he raised his right hand and pressed down. This finger contained Wang Lin's ancient Tao power, his cultivation, and his thunder and fire essence. It collided with the golden sword. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. The moment his finger landed, there was a flash of blood light and the blood sword flew out. The moment the golden sword collided with Wang Lin's finger, it trembled violently and collapsed into pieces. Even the golden-armored giant's body trembled, and he quickly retreated. Just at this moment, the blood sword closed in and pierced through the golden-armored giant's body. Thunderous rumbles rang out, and the golden light on the golden-armored giant's body seemed to explode. It collapsed along with the sword, and the entire world was filled with golden light. As the giant collapsed, an old man wearing a golden robe appeared in the sky below the giant gate. The old man's face was slightly pale, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock. Wang Lin's finger and sword had broken his god illusion and forced him to reveal his true body. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he flew out from the gully and looked at the golden-robed old man. This golden-robed old man's cultivation had surpassed the 5th heaven's blight. Just like esteemed Ling Dong, he was half a step into the 3rd step. I've killed enough today. Wang is going to leave, and you want to stop me? Wang Lin waved his sleeves and his white hair fluttered. The aura of a grandmaster spread out from his body, and he slowly spoke. The golden-robed old man revealed a complicated expression as he stared at Wang Lin. After a long time, he clasped his hands and said, "Your cultivation is unfathomable, so this old man can't stop you. However, you have killed members of planet Donglin and destroyed planet Donglin. You have violated the laws of my Donglin clan. This old man will report this matter to the clan and the elders will make a decision." Wang Lin's expression was calm. If the cultivators of planet Donglin hadn't stopped him, he wouldn't have killed them. Was he going to let them attack and not fight back just because they wanted to stop him? That was absurd. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. Do your best. Wang Lin's cold gaze swept past the old man. He didn't speak to him but looked at the half-open golden gate behind him. He turned around and stepped into space. In a flash, ripples echoed and Wang Lin's figure disappeared. After he left, the golden-robed old man could no longer suppress the injuries in his body and coughed out blood. His chest was covered in blood. The old man's face was extremely pale. He was seriously injured by Wang Lin's finger and sword attack and was on the verge of death. Thinking about it now, his heart still palpitated. A sigh came from behind the old man. As the light twisted, a person walked out from the gate. This person was also wearing a golden robe and was a middle-aged man. "Why didn't you attack?" The golden-robed old man pressed his chest and looked at the middle-aged man behind him. Before the ancestor went into closed-door cultivation, he said that if planet Donglin is destroyed, my Donglin clan will appear. This will be a calamity for my clan. This person found me and gave me a warning. He is not simple. The middle-aged man shook his head and looked at the direction Wang Lin had left. Our cultivation levels are about the same, and neither of us has truly entered the 3rd step. Even if I attacked, I wouldn't be able to stop this person. However, my cultivation method is strange and I can feel auras that you can't. I can feel the auras of 2 3rd step cultivators on him. In that brief battle with you, I'm afraid he only used a small portion of his true strength. How can I fight him? Let's go, there are very few members of my clan left. Right now, only the two of us have awakened. As the middle-aged man spoke, his expression suddenly changed and he and the golden-robed old man looked behind them. They saw a shocking aura come out from the half-open gate. Both of their eyes were filled with joy. Without hesitation, they stepped into the gate and disappeared. Only the golden gate remained unmoving between the heavens and the earth. On the other side of the gate was a world of ice. It was another world, but everything was frozen. Even the clouds in the sky had turned into ice clouds. The floating continents were like ice sculptures, and the huge icicles hung down like sharp swords. There was a woman sitting cross-legged on one of the frozen rocks in the center. She was extremely beautiful, but she was filled with coldness. Her body was frozen along with the rock she was on, but at this moment her eyes were wide open. The moment she opened her eyes, stars began to appear between her eyebrows and slowly rotated. The aura of an ancient god spread out. The two golden-robed cultivators stepped into the frozen world and rushed over. They respectfully stood on the continent the woman was on. The two of them suppressed the excitement on their faces and said in unison, "Welcome back, Divine Elder." Chapter 1487. This woman was even more beautiful than Mu Bingmei. Even if she didn't smile, she could make any cultivator's heart palpitate. There was also a sense of heroism in her eyes, making her look very different from ordinary women. She had a different kind of charm to her. As she slowly opened her eyes, it was as if there were stars in her eyes. It would make people lose themselves in them and be unable to extricate themselves. Cracking sounds echoed in the frozen shattered stone continent, and the ice cracked inch by inch. In the end, all the ice on the shattered stone continent shattered into pieces and shot out in all directions. The woman took a deep breath and the ancient god's stars between her eyebrows rotated even faster. Powerful ancient god power came from between her eyebrows and entered her body. After a long time, the woman's eyes shined and her seemingly delicate right hand mercilessly clenched. A thunderous rumble came from her palm and shook the surrounding area. As she clenched her fist, the stars between her eyebrows stopped rotating, revealing the 7 purple stars inside. 7-star ancient god. 7-star female ancient god. As this female ancient god's identity was revealed, everything seemed to have a clear answer. Why was Muzi ordered to go to the Moongazer serpent? Why Wang Lin's vitality had been sucked away by the Xiang family ancestor on planet Dong Lin? The vitality that was sucked away was the vitality of an ancient god. Although Wang Lin didn't know all of this, as he moved through the Luo Tian star system, he understood a majority of it. In the memories of the Xiang family ancestor, he had sucked away Wang Lin's vitality for his own selfish desire. It was related to his cultivation method, and he had no intention of letting Wang Lin leave alive. In truth, the moment Wang Lin entered planet Dong Lin, the Xiang family ancestor felt a trace of resentment from the Xiang family in Wang Lin. When the Xiang family ancestor sensed this resentment, he knew which family member it belonged to. Even without this resentment, the Xiang family ancestor would have still sucked away Wang Lin's vitality. Although Wang Lin hadn't fused with his original body, the vitality he had released through his soul was enough to tempt the Xiang family ancestor. However, just as he sucked away the vitality and was about to kill Wang Lin, someone from the ancient Donglin family sent out a divine sense message. The Xiang family ancestor didn't dare to disobey, so he gave up on killing Wang Lin. Following the divine sense's request, he absorbed endless ancient god vitality from Wang Lin's original body. Wang Lin had learned all of this after searching his soul. With his intelligence, he couldn't help but guess some things after thinking about what Muzi had done. The ancient Donglin family. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he looked back into the distance. This family has an ancient god. I just don't know if this ancient god is an ancient existence or if he inherited it like I did back then. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and slowly walked forward. My warning has been conveyed, don't provoke me. Of the 4 things I need to do, 2 have been completed. Now it's time for the 3rd, the Yao family's blood god. Wang Lin's expression was calm, but the killing intent in his eyes hadn't dissipated. That blood god chased me back then. If it wasn't for senior brother Shimizu, my avatar would have been destroyed. How could I forget that? That blood god seems to have an ancient demon inside his body. My ancient demon avatar urgently needs ancient demon power. Also, although I didn't promise that Yao family girl back then, I made a promise in her dream and left behind karma. Now it's time for me to end this karma. Wang Lin's figure gradually disappeared. Planet Donglin was in ruins. The Xiang family and all the branch families had collapsed. The intense rumble that echoed across the Luo Tian continent was quickly heard by all the Luo Tian cultivators. Planet Donglin was the most ominous planet in the Luo Tian star system. Its collapse and destruction was enough to set off a heaven-shaking event for the Luo Tian cultivators. At this moment, there was a group of about 100 cultivators in the southern part of the Luo Tian star system. They were silently moving forward, and there was a female cultivator among them. This female cultivator was no longer young. She looked like a middle-aged woman. Her face carried the marks of time as she silently moved forward. Although she looked middle-aged, it was still possible to tell that she was a beautiful person when she was young. There was still a bit of charm left in her. All of this was on the premise that she didn't have so many shocking scars on her face. These scars covered everything. The dark red scars intersected with each other on her face, which should have been beautiful. They were like ravines, and as her flesh was torn open, only ferociousness and terror were left behind. Anyone who looked at her would feel disgust and wouldn't want to get too close to her. These scars were not something that could be removed by ordinary spells. They had been left behind by her over a long period of time. They healed over and over again before being torn open again and again. They seemed to have been carved into her bones, carved into her origin soul, and became eternal. Her cultivation level wasn't high, only at the corporeal yang realm. There was a deep sense of exhaustion and confusion on her body. Her family had almost been wiped out during the war with the Alliance, and only a few people remained. Even the ancestor who loved her the most was seriously injured and died in the land of the ancient god in Suzaku star system to save her. Her entire family collapsed. After the war, she was exhausted and seriously injured. She returned to the Luo Tian star system, but her family was split up and her family was gone. She was filled with grief and tears flowed down her cheeks as she watched her family disappear. She left and silently cultivated by herself in the Luo Tian star system. She became a person without a home. A woman trying to survive in the chaotic Luo Tian star system after the war was very difficult. Although she still had some family friends, what was the use? At that time, she was still young and extremely beautiful. There were many people who coveted her beauty, and even more people who promised her cultivation. It was very difficult for a weak woman to survive without humiliation. Her beauty, in particular, would attract a lot of covetous eyes. Just like Lu Fian of the Origin sect in the Cloud Sea, she was even more decisive than Lu Fian in the Luo Tian star system. She personally destroyed her beautiful face and cut off all the eyes that coveted her. Beauties had a short life, but if one's face was ruined and ugly, perhaps they would no longer have a short life. She didn't forget her wish from back then. She wanted to be like the ancestor and become a powerful female cultivator. She wanted to stand tall in the Luo Tian star system and have her own world. However, this wish was getting further and further away from her. In her heart, if it wasn't for that figure, she would have already become someone else's cultivation furnace. She would have used her body to exchange for the right to continue cultivating and protection. However, the existence of that figure made it impossible for her to do such a humiliating thing. She didn't want herself to sink. Although that person had long forgotten her existence and didn't even remember her name, she still remembered. She couldn't forget that figure that wasn't tall in the Thunder's celestial realm. He led many cultivators to find a way out of the collapsed celestial realm. She couldn't forget that figure and how he fought against the people of the Thunder Celestial Temple. She couldn't forget that figure that shocked the world and became the Thunder Celestial during the Celestial Title competition. At that time, perhaps he didn't know that she was among the cultivators watching. Even if he didn't know that she was there, the joy in her heart when she saw that figure rise. During the past 800 years, whenever she thought back to the past, she would feel sad, but at the same time, the figure in her memories would give her the courage to continue struggling. The past was like smoke as images flashed through the woman's mind. Not long after, a cultivation planet filled with dense spiritual energy appeared before them. This group of nearly 100 cultivators stopped outside the cultivation planet. The person in the lead was a middle-aged man. He had an arrogant expression as he looked at the cultivators behind him. When he looked at the woman, there was a hint of loathing on his face. Most cultivators cherished their fleshly bodies. Their fleshly bodies were practically the foundation of cultivation. Many cultivators would search for methods to preserve their fleshly bodies' vitality. Although they could not live forever, they would still search for ways to not age. After all, there weren't many people as ugly as this woman. Also, this woman was only at the corporeal young stage and had no family behind her. She was just a wild cultivator that could be bullied at will. She Zifeng, go use your origin soul to shake the trajectory of the planet. This middle-aged man was already at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer, and his words contained an unquestionable sense of majesty. He had known this woman a long time ago and was one of the people that peeped at her beauty. However, the more he did this, the more uncomfortable he felt when he saw her ugly appearance. To move a cultivation planet, one needed to use their origin soul to shake the trajectory of the planet. The moment the trajectory of the planet was changed, there would be a rebound force that would cause great damage to the origin soul. Shi Zifeng silently pondered and her ferocious face turned slightly pale. A moment later, she respectfully clasped her hands and said in a hoarse voice, "Lord Messenger, I was the one to shake the trajectory of the previous 3 planets. My origin soul hasn't recovered yet, so can I." Before Shi Zifeng finished speaking, the middle-aged man frowned and let out a snort. Shi Zifeng's body trembled. She bit her lower lip and no longer spoke. She turned around and walked toward the cultivation planet. Behind her, some of the cultivators couldn't bear it and could only let out a sigh. Although the Shi family from 1,000 years ago wasn't a top family in the Luo Tian, it was still very large. The direct descendant of the Shi family, the beautiful Shi Zifeng, is now like this. Fate makes fools of people. This Shi Zifeng is a rare determined woman. Unfortunately, there is nothing to pity. Cultivation is a cruel thing. After the war, there are many people more miserable than her. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.